Put it on.
Julie Stevens is running late. She's just asked me. Hold on. She's.
Hey, how are you?
Good, Brad. How are you?
Doing well.
Yeah, Kathy, you're golden.
She coming in? Or not?
Yeah, she's just running in 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, she's not due till
Or,
10.
yeah, she's a little after 10.
I'm out of that sight line, aren't I?
Oh, no, you are front and center. in Zoom.
Oh, yeah, you're right at that.
Yeah, we-
Yeah.
we-
Oh, we can see you.
Gotta turn that picture in picture. I don't know why it didn't go up when it started up, but it broadcast. Zoom.
All right, I got 9 o'clock.
Don't worry, the glare from my head will cut out any picture of
We'll
it.
open up the commissioners meeting of February 24th with the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's holler from here. Take it easy, man.
Brad, you too. You're probably in here wondering about something, right? About the full clock?
You just said it was on the
Yeah,
agenda for the day, so I thought I'd stop in.
We had, when we received the lease agreement, first of all, I think we all agreed to the payment terms and all that stuff, but there was a bunch of added on stuff to the original contract that Jeff Marks has some questions about. So we'll agree to the payment and the terms and go ahead and if this takes longer than next, well, the 28th, we'll make the payment.
Ah, yeah, no, that's fine. The language in there was the same language that was in the lease that was recorded. That's actually how I mirrored it over.
So we just got a partial copy of the lease. Where did we get that from, Kathy, do you know?
We have the original lease. I think Jeff has that original lease too.
Yeah, we got that from Jeff, didn't we?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it-
where
it
that's where I got
stopped
it too.
Okay, well, it stopped at a certain point, and then Jeff's questioning all the added-on pages to that. It was like 3 or 4 pages, the original one. Maybe I don't.
Man, it should have been the
count
same, other than the payment, it should have been the same.
Well, we'll clean all that up, because there were things that just, he didn't find anything that was, or he didn't find that a lot of that was applicable to the type of arrangement that goes with that. So there's just some verbiage, incidental kind of things with that, but the main points are agreed upon and we'll fulfill that. So
Okay.
just continue on, going on, and then the ramp up of agreements, we're in agreement with, so all
Yeah.
that's fine.
Not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brian, I see this all the time in my other aspect of my career at South Central. When we're trying to do contracts with state entities, there's a lot of things that are standard in contracts that the state is exempt from or cannot agree to. So I think what Jeff Marks is doing is just cleaning up the legalese aspect of it. I think we're all on the same page, as Jack said, about the terms and all of that. Just some legal language we need to
Sure.
resolve.
Not an issue on our end. Yeah. So,
Charlie?
Okay, so, do you have any other comments or questions in regard to that?
No, not at all.
All right.
Should we move forward like we go?
I think Charlie's contract is in there somewhere for this morning too.
You want to talk about that, or?
Yeah, one of the,
I'll get it.
Jeff Leonard.
Oh,
So I was sitting in cyberspace. I'm gonna hold off till next week on that contract,
which
the
contract?
tree felling contract.
Okay.
I'd like to set up a time being here first thing next Monday.
Okay.
I'm trying to work out some last minute deals, so
Okay.
Try to put more money back in our pocket, but I'll probably fail at it, but I gotta try, so.
You still want to go with the bridge replacement resolution, right?
Oh, yeah, that one, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
We talked about that briefly last week.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I've also got the yearly mileage certification that has to be turned into ODOT. It hasn't changed, it's still 400.043 miles. That's just county road miles. So the three of you have to sign it, and then I have to sign it. That's March 3rd?
Huh?
March 3rd?
February 24th.
February 24th.
I just say, March the 3rd.
Can we go back in time?
I also gained a week.
I just said, yeah,
Okay.
I'll make that motion and Jack signs that.
All three of you have to sign it.
Okay, I'll make that motion and we sign it.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Charlie, I can put you at 10 o'clock next week.
Okay. Okay, that'll work out fine because the earliest they come down will be the 10th, so. Lost a week of my life.
Yeah, I told you that.
Well, I'll give it back to you.
Move back down.
You want to make a copy of it, Kathy?
Yep.
Jim, you feeling all right?
No better than what I was last week.
I'll tell you that it's been getting hold of people and sticking with them. You got better quick then.
It was, I was right there for a while.
How long were you sick? A week?
Probably a little bit over a week,
That's what I
yeah.
Yeah,
thought.
because I know people have had it for like 2 weeks.
Did you go to the
Yes.
doctor at all?
I just
Write it out.
ride it out and had a fever and,
Did you test to make sure you had COVID?
yeah, I did a test and all that stuff like that. I did it twice and then did one yesterday, make sure it was gone. It was, came back, so I said, I'm going back.
Jeff Marks did drop those contracts on,
Yes.
didn't he? Okay,
Yes.
You'll just hold on to them then?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Everybody have a good week.
All
See you
right,
later.
so We're gonna be in later on, right?
Yeah, you just want,
Work session.
what time?
That'll be 12:30.
12, I'll be there.
All right.
See ya.
All right, we have motion to approve the meeting minutes.
So moved. Oh, I wasn't here.
Yeah, you
Yeah, I'll
can.
make that motion.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I read it.
We already excused you for last week, so that's a good thing. Bills for the week?
You had some questions?
I got answers. I got answers on that too.
The second, the last two entries for the big entries for the auditor on the last page. And
Second, third, and fourth quarter municipal court salaries that the city's behind on for last year.
we're not behind.
We're not behind the
They're
city.
behind in.
They're behind,
That
yeah.
was for municipal.
It's from the second, third, and fourth quarter of
That's
2024.
I'll move to pay the bills.
$170,000. So that's all, that's part of the $836,324.28 bills for a lot of consultant payments and HCGP grant fund payments in there too, so.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Does that mean?
Then and now. 27, 515, 51. $27,515.51.
So
Do I
moved.
have a motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Transfer of funds. This is from transfer unclaimed funds, reverted to general fund, back to unpaid funds, and then paid out to the unclaimed monies of $30. From, what department is this?
The auditor.
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 Yeah.
So $30 going from general to unclaimed monies.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Appropriation, this is from Treasury Department. This is from the DTAC fund to workers' comp. This is to cover a deficit after BWC charges were made of $1,458.75. Motion?
Yeah, Jeff Marks talked about this previously. Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Appropriation from the coroner's office, from the general fund to rentals for $400 or $4,000, cell phone service $900, out of county autopsies $10,000, total of $14,900, and that's from cancellation of 24 PO holdovers.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Appropriation from the auditor's office, excuse me, from the general fund to workers' comp of $7,480.63. That's for increased appropriation to cover increased costs of BWC premiums for 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. When did we know there was going to be an increase in BWC costs? Is that something that crept up on us? I can't even talk.
Yeah, I don't know why that was increased like that. I have no idea. I think every department got it though.
This is from the Board of DD. It's from Board of DD Operating Fund to the Workers' Comp Fund for a variety of administrative costs totaling $3,458.07. This is move funds within workers' comp to correct negative accounts. A motion to.
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
From Ross County Auditor for, to the Real Estate Assessment Fund to salaries or workers' comp coverage of $325.66. It's a transfer appropriation to cover increased costs of BWC premium for 2025.
Internal.
That's for the Real Estate Department.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
asset disposal. This is for, Sheriff's Department, for a Motorola dispatch console. It's obsolete, and they're replacing the 911 thing this year
Yeah.
with equipment as well. So this is disposal for a quantity of 3 of the consoles, obsolescence.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sorry, yeah, you're on the third line.
Oh, there. I want you guys to stop doing that. I don't even know Medicaid, Medicare.
Asset disposal form, this is from the probation department for 2009 Chevy Impala, poor condition, not reliable for purpose. And this is from Donna Hatfield, or Donna, or Deanna, I'm sorry.
Yeah, probation.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. I just like how it's sitting in one of the parking, is this sitting in one of the parking spots?
Yeah, near the old bank building.
Yeah,
What's that?
that, the car,
The Impala?
yeah,
Yeah, we've got it on Gov Deals for sale.
okay. Don't you know that they should, don't we usually take the stuff to service center?
Well, that's sitting there, so it didn't really matter.
Okay. It's been sitting there for a while.
It's there, well, yeah, I mean, it had tags and stuff on it. We cleaned it all out, pulled the tags off of it, got it on there. It should be another week and it'll be gone. But I'm sure they're gonna wanna keep that spot for whatever they buy. Plus, we still haven't gotten the check for the van that got hit, which is 30 grand.
Right.
So I think what they want to do is sell that too, take their 30 grand check plus what they get for that and buy a new van. And they may want to park it there, I don't know, that's been their spot. They've always had that many vehicles, so we gave them that spot.
Okay.
We used to keep it over there behind their building,
Mm-hmm.
but the folks that work in there would rather have, they'd rather pay for a spot over there, put their other vehicle there than put this one.
Over there,
So
okay.
That's why we did it.
And last week, we talked about the exhaust system on one of the dog warden trucks needing replaced, $1,726.96. This is the
That is
invoice.
additional,
That's additional work.
That's additional?
Yeah.
Yes, that is additional from what approved last week.
So they fixed on there what they gave us the first time. And then this converter is bad now.
Oh, I thought that was part of it.
No, not the first time. They didn't replace the converter because they thought they could do the other stuff and the converter would be fine, but it's not. So after they put all the other stuff on it, that's bad too.
Yeah, all the parts are multiple parts.
Yeah,
including
and-
the converter.
Exactly, and if you look at that, the cost on that thing is almost all in that part.
Yeah, so $1,199, $1,200 out of the 17.
Yeah,
Rest is labor and gaskets.
it's better than buying a new vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to approve
Yeah,
that?
so-
I was just, my thing was, is they took it to Muffler Brothers,
Well, they took it somewhere else first.
Okay.
And that's where our guys have been taking our vehicles forever.
Right.
And so we had them, after they went to the other place, we had them taken there. So that price was cheaper than the other place.
So moved.
You moved.
I'll second.
All in favor,
Have
say
you
aye.
got a mechanic you'd rather have them take it to?
No, I was just, my thing was, is I looked at the last bill, and they billed us for breaking bolts off.
or boats that were broken off the manifold.
Yeah, oh, okay, they were broken off.
They were broken off.
Okay, I thought they were trying.
No, they were replacing those broken.
Okay, I read it wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was thinking, well, I'm not gonna pay for something,
They
they broke a bolt
them
off.
off.
Yeah.
Give me a
I'm
hammer, I'll take care of that.
not gonna pay for a bolt that broke off, that the mechanic broke.
No, they were broken off the manifold.
Okay.
Okay, I think we all got a letter from Adam H. about a board replacement, Richard Gaines. Did you get that?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Any problem with, that's okay in that selection to the board?
I don't have a problem necessarily with it. I just think, you know, we've had some conversations with Adam H. We've had some feedback from constituents about Adam H. With the recent activities that they've done. So I just think we should. One of the limited things of oversight that we have with Adam H. is the board appointments. And so this does not, I mean, this application provides kind of a resume, but it doesn't provide a whole lot of details in terms of what that person's positions are. And I don't know, maybe it's worth some discussion on our part before we just sign off right away. Probably not, there's probably, you know, it's not something I anticipate us not being able to do. It's just, Adam H., they do important work and it's important stuff, but recently I've been frustrated with the way the situation was handled and the lack of collaboration and partnership with the county on some of those decisions. And so it might be worth having a conversation with Melanie around how her board operates and how her or her board should communicate with us, partnership with us around things like the property situation that happened with this mental health center out on wherever that is, Union Township. But I'm open to your guys' thoughts. It's just something I think is worth some conversation. And we don't necessarily have to have all that right now. I just comes to appointing board members. I think we need to know who we're appointing and where they are on some things for any of these organizations that we appoint the board to.
Do you want to interview this guy?
I don't know if interview is the right word. Maybe just call Melanie or meet with him. I never met him.
I haven't either.
Really?
Where he's with Scorners now, in MacArthur. Some faculty of both Harvard and Tulane.
That didn't bother me.
That doesn't bother you.
That didn't shake me whatsoever. You gotta go to degree.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother me, you know, that.
Well, it
that
says it's
didn't
on
shake me any.
faculty.
That must be a remote thing.
It has to be. Not 2019 till present and 2018 to present. I don't know if he's on like boards there or what, but he says faculty and supervisor for research study.
See, that's kind of, I mean, I'd like to know some of that stuff. I met with the Sojourners several years ago, and he may be the one, I know, actually, he's probably an old neighbor of mine. I used to live on Wiley Road.
And he's worked with them since 1999.
Yeah. How long are these terms? Does anyone know how long these terms last?
I'm not sure if you know.
No.
See, that's another question I want to ask.
Listen, we don't know, I mean, what, you know, when does that term start? And
When's it
you know,
start?
I mean, I got 6 people on the board, And I would like to know, hey, you know, when does this term last from 2021 to 2027, or, you know, I just,
Yeah, and it's not to be.
yeah, let's have her come in next week.
I don't wanna be a pain in the butt, but, you know, I've been involved in boards, as all of us are, and I found boards that you have a good application for, you know what kind of skills you're looking for, and that type of thing, is useful in building a strong board that goes and captures the vision that you're trying to capture or achieve, so. That's my only thing. It's not that I'm trying to be a pain in the butt, but I don't even know how long these terms last, and if we're appointing someone to a board for 4 years or 6 years or something, like, we should know who they are, and
But I think that'll give us an opportunity to talk to Melody as well. You gonna put her on for next week? Okay. So I'll just throw this back in your stack.
Yeah.
We have a request for continuing education for dog warden department for Lexi Knight to go to a session being held at the Columbus Humane in Hilliard. She is the newest member there, so it's $300 and then $70 for gas is what the cost is, and that's for April 17th.
I think that's a great idea. My only comment was, there should be an IRS standard mileage reimbursement for gasoline.
There is.
So I would,
67.
Yeah, it's not 70 cents a
Yeah.
mile, it's $70 for the whole thing, so it is the
That's
the
probably a
standard.
guesstimate on their part, I would assume.
Yeah.
okay. That's fine, just as long as they follow that, rather, like, you know, I'd rather them submit their mileage reimbursement at whatever, I think it's $66 a mile,
Yeah.
or 66 cents a mile.
67.
I think it's still 57
Yeah,
cents.
it's
I was
lower
thinking
than
it was
that.
67.
Really?
Yeah, tone down your expectations.
I thought it was 67.
Oh, no,
You're
I
not
think it
getting rid
is.
of the mileage.
I just did a mileage reimbursement in 24 for.
I thought it was 67 cents.
Yeah, I think
a
it's
mile.
67 cents.
I've been to like 56 or 58,
Yeah, that's what we have.
like back when I was a baby rate.
Oh, I seen something.
Oh,
I seen
I
something.
think the IRS
I seen
changed
something.
it.
Somebody sent us an email or something like that. It was 67 cents a
Yeah.
mile.
Look at that.
Yeah.
It usually comes from the auditor's office, but
It's changed a couple times. I think it's 66 or 67. I did. But yeah, I'm
67.
Right now,
At
it's
67?
70 cents.
2024 is
Yeah, just went-
67 cents a mile.
2025 is 70 cents.
Yeah, I was going to say, it just went into effect February 1st, 70 cents.
70 cents.
70 cents?
All right, I'm starting to charge for mileage again. I haven't been charging for mileage, all these CCO board meetings I've been going to in Columbus.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm fine with this language, just as long as it's clear that I just don't want it.
You're not getting a lump
You're
sum.
$70 cash for your gas. It's
Gas.
a reimbursement on
Yeah, she's already
IRS mileage.
going 100 miles, and that's, round trip, that's more than 100 miles to Hilliard from here.
Probably.
Recipe point of work to point of work,
Yeah,
so
very
that's
close.
out on Lick Run Road. So that's more than 100 miles. So, we got a motion.
If she's driving her car, she's taking one of the dog warden's cars.
Well, if she's taking a dog warden car, there's no.
There's no
gas.
mileage, yeah.
So, procedurally, I don't have a problem
I don't
signing this,
either.
but as long as we're clear that, or if we need to procedurally, if it needs to be amended here, but I'm fine with signing it.
Yeah.
I want her to go, I just. being a
From
stickler.
here, it's 112 miles from the commissioner's office round trip.
She's going from dog warden.
From Dog Warden to Hilliard to
Same.
add about 10 miles more probably.
Actually, she'll probably go from her home.
So that's about 70.
She might live in Pipers.
Right, true?
Well, that's, the IRS is a stickler on that too. You gotta, your point, you gotta subtract your commute, whatever your normal commute is, or you make it from, as Jack said, point to point.
Yeah. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I got 9:30.
Chase, you on your own?
I'm on my
You've been a It's all yours.
I was in no hurry, so if you guys had other stuff. So I wanted to meet our newest commissioner, Mr. Glass. We're actually almost neighbors. So
Oh, really?
I live on Oak Lane, so.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Good,
just
good.
a couple miles up the road.
Yeah, yeah.
Wanted to give as much information as we get it. We received the governor's budget, of course, a couple weeks ago. Right now, everything seems to be holding fairly steady. As far as reimbursement and anything like that, it looks like it's gonna hold right where it's at. We're working pretty tightly with Kyle at CCAO, trying to see if there's any room for improvement on that. Anything that, of course, is gonna bring more money back to the county, we're very much in favor of and will support any way that we can. But we're cautiously optimistic, given the money that was put in the governor's budget for the county indigent defense reimbursement, that it's gonna be pretty close to where it's at now. It may move up or down a little bit in either direction, but it's gonna be pretty much holding steady. Spoke with the commissioners in Jackson County last week. One of the other things we're trying to do is find ways outside of reimbursement to save the county some money. Athens County, a few years back, asked for money for a social worker. And what that social worker basically does is for like felony cases with CBCFs, that wait period is significant. It can be anywhere from 30 to 60 days. And I've been working with Major Arledge over at the jail to get an idea of how often that's a problem. You know, how often we're seeing that. Estimated jail costs between $85 and $100 a day. You know, if we can get that where it moves forward a lot faster, what Athens was seeing is theirs was about 45 days to get someone to a CBCF. They got it down to about 5 business days to get someone in a CBCF. So that kind of savings we're seeing, if that's something that would help here. So I've been working with Paul over at the jail to get as much information as we can. Also trying to get some of the people that are just constantly in the jail with mental health issues, get them in some form of treatment so they're not just constantly coming back on, you know, kind of ticky-tack offenses, but they come with significant medical costs. That's something that I know has been a significant issue for the county over the past, especially 3 to 4 years, but something that's always been an issue. So we're seeing if that's something that we could be effective in saving you guys some money, because that's, you know, money right back into the county's pocket if we can get people on their way a little bit faster. We also see a little bit faster transfer to ODRC on felonies if there's a social worker, because a lot of times they want to know medical history, any type of social history that they have. You know, that social worker can kind of get that put together and get that up there and get a bed date a little bit quicker. So when I come back with more information from the budget, I'll bring that information along with to see if it's something that we could, you know, either have a cost neutral or a cost savings position. And Jackson was in favor of they would split the cost between the two counties. So it would be something that wouldn't be a large expenditure for either county, but could very likely save some significant expenditure down the road. Any other big things that we're seeing in the governor's budget? There is the Northwest Regional Hub, which is a pilot program for 3 counties. They are receiving significant reimbursement. What we are trying to use that as a test case so that we can start looking at bigger regional offices, kind of like we do here with Ross and Jackson, getting a larger, especially the rural areas where they're really struggling to get employees and to get attorneys, get that in place and see if we can't get those focused and targeted areas an increased reimbursement as we go through the programming as well. This is definitely an area, because we have the infrastructure, we have the relationships with the counties. If there's going to be a second one, it's going to be in Southern Ohio. So we're hoping to get that.
So right now, we're more or less with us in Jackson, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Have you tried to pick up any other counties that?
Right now, we've had a lot of people with good intentions, but no one has come with money or language.
Okay.
Now, we're always open to it,
Right.
because, we've learned in Ross and Jackson that sharing those expenses, sharing that help really does move the ball forward, where you're not having to scramble looking for people in small offices. Even counties that have a public defender office, if you're looking at a 3 or 4 man shop, you got one guy on vacation and someone out gets sick, a lot of cases get continued, and we know that immediately impacts the jail and court costs. So we're trying to make sure that that's something that's in the front of everybody's mind as we go forward, that, we want these offices basically because you get the economy of scale at that point, that everybody, gets help through that. So that's definitely something that we're always interested in.
Always looking at.
Yeah, it's something that, we've definitely talked to Fayette, Pickaway, had some few conversations with Highland, but there's not been any commitment for it.
About Benton County.
Vinton, there's been so much changeover in Vinton that it feels like we make some progress and then you get a whole fleet of new people in. So we've not had anything real solid there, but anybody in the area is definitely something that we would 100% look at.
Who's the three counties in the pilot program?
Hardin, Putnam, and Allen. And it would be based out of Allen. Commissioner Noonan up there has been a big supporter of this. And they're working to actually get some new office space that will hold that entire office in Allen County. And then it would work just like here. We're based in Ross, travel to Jackson. Up there would be based in Lima, travel to the other, because it's about almost identical distance. It's 26 miles.
So I talked to commissioners from all 88 counties at the board of CCAO.
Okay.
So I can get with the commissioners of these counties and kind of put a foot forward that direction.
Yeah, and the good thing is with this pilot program, it's definitely got the attention of the General Assembly. It's got the attention of the governor's office, so that we can show that, look, this is the model to use. This is something that in the future, you share resources between multi-counties. That way everyone's not shouldering it individually. So you get a little cost savings there. You also got the benefit of the economy of scale of having a larger office there with people that can provide coverage. It also, when you have an office like that, it allows you to have mentorship and training relationships, so people are a little less likely to leave, because that's always been the issue in indigent defense, and it's going to get worse, is that one of our employees after 2 or 3 years becomes very, very valuable to a bigger firm, because our attorneys are in court every day, they're running trials, they're running hearings. If you're at a big firm, you're not going to see the inside of a courtroom for probably the first 2 years at least. Whereas someone that has that training that they didn't have to pay for, suddenly those salaries get pretty attractive, and we can't compete as far as what they can pay. I know here we've lost several to that.
You're in the same boat with the prosecutor's office.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, someone gets a phone call of, hey, and I've had this phone call.
Nobody wants to work for a government when I can make more money.
Yeah, like, I don't want to quit, I like my job, but they offered me $165,000. Hey man, I'll write you a great letter of recommendation, like, there's nothing I can do to prevent that. But when you have that relationship and you kind of have that core there, even if one person leaves, one, you've got the backup, but two, you also have that relationship built up where people kind of see a future there and can kind of see a room for improvement, a room to move up, so it prevents a little bit of that, makes things more stable. I mean, kind of like regional jails and everything else, it's kind of the model that when it works great. Now, there are certain areas you just can't do it in, but.
Is that kind of like a natural first step for a new law school graduate to take on a position like that?
We take a lot of new law school graduates because we offer a lot of in-house training. We do trial schools, we do trial programs. Someone walking out of law school's great in that it allows you a training to process a ton of information very quickly. But as far as the nuts and bolts of practicing law, if you walked out of law school and you didn't do a clinic and just went to Judge Ader's court to do an arraignment, you're going to have zero idea of what you're doing. Whereas, you come into either prosecutor's office, or public defender's office, you're going to get that experience, you're going to get it fast. So it is a very good spot for people to start out at. And we do target law schools of, hey, if you want to do trial work on either side, either one of these offices is a good place to start, because it's not a bar. If you go to the prosecutor's office, coming public defender, or vice versa. So it is a very good thing. The issue we're running into is just the absolute lack of lawyers. When I was in law school, I graduated from High Northern in 2011. My graduating class was between 120 and 130. The incoming class for last year's class was 60. And they'll lose 10 to 15% of those before they finish. And most of the people that are going to law school, their mom, uncle, dad, grandfather had a law firm, they went to take part in that, so that's taken half of those out of the rotation right there. Now you've got the big firms that are still hiring people, so they're going to just be able to throw enough money to get some, and now the government jobs are competing for probably 9 to 10 out of each law school.
Shocking facts of today.
Yeah, it is the amount of attorneys, that average age. OSBA did a study a few months back. They're going to release it here in the next couple of months, but the one that kind of shocked me is in most rural counties, your average age of an attorney is 68. And most of those guys either aren't going to be here by operation of natural causes, or they're going to retire. And there's just not a lot of future planning. So it's something where we've really got to get ahead of this. Otherwise, we're going to run into a situation where, there are some counties around us like Benton, like Pike, that if you take the judges and the prosecutors out of it, there's 1 or 2 attorneys in the entire county. And that's something that we've not run into in Ross, but even the bar in Ross has shrank dramatically in the last 10 years. Especially for people that are doing felony work. Felony work is where we're seeing a massive decrease in it.
I mean, class size kind of describes it all.
Yeah. So I'm here to answer any questions you guys have, and then just let you guys know I'm planning on being back in late April with more information and kind of the first draft of the contract, as well as the numbers for that social worker to see if it's something that would be beneficial.
A quick question.
Absolutely.
Besides Jackson, what contiguous county would you pick if you had your pick of being a partner in a 3-county regional approach?
Given logistics, probably Pike. It's a smaller county. It doesn't have as high of a caseload, which is what determines how much staff you need. It's also fairly close on a main road that you're not going to have to struggle with. If it's snowy and icy out, they're going down 23. They're not taking back roads. Whereas like Highland, 50 can either be great or not so great. And it's also, a 35 to 40 minute drive, whereas Waverly's 15, 20 minutes away. So that's cutting down a little bit on the expenses and mileage and things like that. Fayette would definitely, really any of the contiguous counties, there's none that are a complete bar. There are just some that would be a little easier than others.
I know Tony Montgomery pretty well, and we talk a lot about the atomic plant and future of that, so I can certainly plug in there.
Oh, they're interested. Yeah, I met with the Pike County Commissioners 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
It's something they're very interested in. I think a lot of people are a little hesitant right now because they want to see what the hub does. Because I think that there's probably some increased funding if that goes well, because of the efficiencies that it can show. So I think there's several counties interested, but I think several counties are kind of holding back a little bit to see if they can get a little bit better benefit of the bargain coming into a regional setup down the road, which would not surprise me at all.
In your experience, have you noticed a pretty substantial uptick in the cases involving mental health?
Quadruple
crime?
Yeah, quadruple, quintuple. Yeah, I mean, it's...
Since like when?
I really haven't taken a lot of trial cases in the last year and a half being in this position, but I can tell you in 2022, I filed more competencies in that year personally than I had filed probably in the 6 or 7 years prior to that, combined. It is something that is becoming a real issue. The good news is the governor did do a working group last year that released several findings. One of the big things that they're trying to do is a model based on Colorado and Florida's model, which takes away the competency from municipal court. It hasn't been adopted yet. These findings were just put out kind of at the end of the year. But the competency in municipal court is where you really run into issues, because there's not a lot of evaluators, especially in Southern Ohio. There's just a handful. By the time you get someone evaluated on a misdemeanor, especially like an M4 trespass, which is where you see a lot of people with mental health coming in, just the old-fashioned loitering statute. They only have 30 days that they can be held. So it's, by the time you get somebody evaluated or even get an evaluator, that case is over. But you've sunk that entire cost into it, where they're trying to do something that's more, get people in more community-based treatment. Kind of works like diversion. Get in treatment, stay compliant with it, we'll hold this case in abeyance. You complete everything, you're in good standing with your treatment provider, you've not gotten any other trouble, we'll take care of this case as long as you agree to stay in treatment. That was one of the big things that they looked at, because if you look at where a lot of the mental health filings are, it is those low-level misdemeanors and low-level felonies. You tend to not see it as much, it's definitely present, but not as much in your high-level felonies. But it is something that does drive a lot of the issues. And it's a frustration for us, because there's not a lot we can do, especially if someone who's truly incompetent, because you can't have an effective communication with them. That's what we're saying by them being incompetent. And I know it's very frustrating for the jail of, they may be holding somebody for 3, 4, or 5 months just waiting to see what happens, which is a big expense and a big frustration. But it's definitely on the rise, and it's on the rise across the state.
Yeah, it's on the rise across all touches, workforce. I mean, we're seeing a huge impact on jobs and family services, child protection services. And that's a big reason for the drive and the increase of care, because the mental health component is now a faction of its own.
Yeah, I was on the work group for the governor's working group, and the big issue that a lot of places have, like Central Ohio Behavioral Health, which is the new Twin Valley, they just built a brand new facility up there, and it was full the day they opened the doors. And about 90% of those beds are what we call forensic beds, which are criminally involved, versus the 10% that are just for acute care for someone that's having a mental health issue that made it to the hospital.
Man, yeah, that's not ideal either, because you've got the people who need help that are not committing crimes. They don't have space anywhere for them either.
Right. Yeah. So we're trying to find ways to get people before they get to that bed portion. Get them into outpatient treatment if it's available, or get them into local care versus relying on those central hospitals, because there's just not the beds, and they're also struggling with staff. So even when they have the logistical support, they don't have the staffing for a lot of it.
Any other questions, comments? Appreciate you coming in this morning, Chase.
No problem. So I'll, like I said, plan on being back at the end of April. I'm going to be out for a little bit because my wife's pregnant, but other than that, I'll be back.
Congratulations on that.
So other than that, I'll be great.
What's wrong with you?
You got 2 congratulations and 1 what's wrong.
Judy's known me a long time. I'm hard-headed.
How many is that?
This will be her second. Yeah. And she
Congratulations to you.
That's why I've been checking my watch, because it could happen just about anything. So, well, thanks for your time, guys.
Well, thank you.
Man, a boy or a girl?
Girl. So I have 2 girls.
You gotta at least try one more time, see if the boy comes out.
I don't have to worry about losing too much.
I'll do that. See you, Chase.
See you guys.
See you later. Let's see.
10 minutes before the next one comes. Devin's going to come in later on and talk about, he's in at the work session. That's for the traffic impact study.
Yes, and the,
Visitor Center.
the visitor center.
He's bringing Structure Point in for that part of the
Yeah.
presentation.
And is that, that's the
That's where they're gonna.
Yoctangi Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke and I have been working on that for last week.
I think one of the points was that we keep asking them to change the renderings for the visitor center, and every time they change it,
You know, I haven't been involved in it, but that's the kind of backstory I got from Zach and Devin.
Yeah,
is-
this should have all been settled out 2 months
Yeah.
ago, so.
Well, that's why I sent that email to Devin, just, you know,
I don't want to bring them into the agenda if they're not, if this isn't the right crew. If they have that,
but
but
it sounds like we're in good shape.
okay. Take my bathroom breaks when I
Yep.
get.
Let me get some water too.
You want some water? Voices.
I got one.
Jack, you want water?
I got some coffee here, thanks. We had, what was the name of that company came in last week, Brad, finance?
Oh, Baird.
Baird, meeting with Dan, do you remember him? They hold a couple more. Is it bonds or is it just loans that they hold?
Bonds.
Bonds. And we're gonna have the courthouse renovations.
And use bonds on that.
You've been here when that Michael Burns from
Mhm.
Baird. I was
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Can't remember if it's Burns or Baird.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you've been here when
Mhm.
you talked about stuff. He came up again. Did you get a copy of the documents? I have them. if you didn't, I can get them for you.
That's traffic impact stuff.
That's traffic in my set.
I'll get it for you. Let me get it for you, so you have them.
Brad, I got all kinds of things. laying
Well,
down. I have a clue.
It's that stuff he usually gives. It's, rate sheets and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah,
If you-
okay, yeah. I got it right here.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
I got it, Brad.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, no.
But this is the grant he's talking about in his email. About Pleasant Valley.
Yeah, that is. This is too. They're both for Pleasant Valley. This is, yeah, one's for an engineer and one's for the survey itself. We'll talk about when it comes in this afternoon.
I got it.
Yeah, he shot out.
I kept yelling at him, saying.
It's all right, I can't hear. Deaf in one ear, can't hear out the other.
That's it. So this code red, the city of Chillicothe is paying $2,900 a year,
Yes.
and is the 3-year term or the annual fee? Critical community, the annual fee,
That 29.
29,000,
Whatever Chillicothe pays, that's an annual.
right.
Okay.
And the 30,000 that the code red's charging, is that annual or is that for the 2-year term?
I'm just saying it was annual.
I think it is annual, because the second year, I think it's a little bit more.
You gotta run to the building department, I'll be right back.
Okay.
So is it based on population or is it?
I don't know. I don't know if Mark is in the office, but I could probably have him come over if he, or he wants to phone and go out. Ask him some questions.
Yes.
Says 1-year subscription fees and non-reoccurring fees will total $10,755. Years 2 and 3 subscription fees will be $9,755. So the 30,000 is for a 3-year term.
No, it's just, it's weird.
And of that, Chillicothe will pay $2,900. That sounds better.
Annually,
That
yes.
sounds better.
So you're all right with that?
78,000 versus 22,000.
Yeah, basically, they're paying just a little bit more than they were
Okay.
previously.
So I have that contract and Luke has signed it. You guys hear what I'm talking about here? This is the code red, this is the
Yeah.
citizens notification.
The EMA.
Yeah, the EMA.
Come on in.
Hey, come on in.
How are ya?
Good. We're gonna get started right at 10, so. Yeah. So this is the 3-year contract, $10,755.48 year 1. And years 2 and 3 will be $9,755.48 for a total of $30,266.46 over the 3-year period. And the city of Chillicothe will pay $2,904 the first year and $2,634 years 2 and 3 of that, of the 3 numbers that I gave above.
Okay.
Are we all in agreement to sign the contract for that?
So moved.
Yeah, that's fine.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have the resolution for the UNESCO construction manager at risk authorization to the,
It's not actually a numbered resolution, it's just a resolution that allows them to apply for
Okay.
that grant.
okay.
It's not a numbered resolution.
So what's he asking for here? Permission to do that or?
Yes.
Yes, he's just asking for permission for them to apply for that grant.
Does that sound good to you guys? This is for the Mount City and all the Hopewell earthworks around the area. For construction manager at risk to do the projects for the Appalachian Community Grant. We've been awarded, to be covered by grant.
Grant. So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I have 10 o'clock. You are up.
Hello.
Aye.
Well, I just wanted to introduce myself to you all. I know I've met you, I know two of you, but I was here also for the OVRDC caucus meeting. Got to say hello, but just wanted to let you know I'm with Senator Bernie Moreno's office, and he is working hard in DC. He's getting a lot of work done for a freshman senator, and if there are any needs that you guys have, anything you want me to relay to him, please let me know. And I know that you guys are the face of the county. Everyone comes to you with issues, and that people don't know whether these issues are state, federal, local. You know, they just know they got a problem and they come to you guys with those problems. So if you run across any federal issues, anyone who has questions about things that are with any federal agencies, whether that's VA, Social Security, IRS, U.S. Postal Service, any of those issues, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'll get you all my phone number and my email so you can let us know, and we'd be glad to help them.
All right, that sounds good. Is he on, do you know what committees he's on?
Yes, he's on 4 committees. He's on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs. He is on Budget. He is on the Commerce and Banking Committee. And there's one other. What's the other one? I can't think of what it is right now. But there are a lot of things that are some pretty good committees that he's having some good say on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were doing quite a bit of work with Portland and then J.D. Vance on the opiate fight.
Yes.
Because we are the epicenter of the 23 pipeline coming up from Portsmouth, which is truly the epicenter, especially with pill mills of the back in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
And, we've had, you know, I just saw this morning on the news that the reduction of opiate deaths is 4% below what it was last year, which is always good news. But
that is good
here in
news.
Ross County, the last 3 years, we've been in double digits compared to the prior year below where we were, 3 years ago.
Wow.
It was like 16%, and last year was 18% less opiate deaths.
That's great.
We've taken some considerable jumps in harm reduction without the needles, without the user kits in the vending machines that are at our local libraries. But we've also done a lot of things with prevention centers and high school programs, and just trying to cut the bleeding off from a growing problem. And so we can manage what's left over with the older populations, and our demographics show that. So we have very few overdose deaths in teenage and college age kids. So
That's fantastic.
we're
I mean,
doing a
I
pretty good job
commend you all
about
for
that.
doing that, for
Yeah.
working on that issue. I was previously with Congressman Winstrup's office, and before that with Congressman Bill Johnson's office. So I've been with them since 2013. So working in all these counties in Southeast Ohio, it has just been the #1 issue for so long. And now I see other issues that people are facing instead of the opioid, issue. So It's
amphetamines and the replacement drugs when they don't have supply.
fentanyl and,
You know, and that's probably next step is to work with the police department and sheriff's department on proactive policing in trouble areas and try and cut off supply. And that's
Mhm.
gonna lead to more of that, but, you know, what we're looking at right now is sort of next step beyond that. And because we're not at zero, we still have, you know, some people that are not making it and whatnot. So, anything we can get a look at from a federal level or funding for, you know, some research and some study into what's next, certainly would be appreciated.
absolutely, yeah, I'll make a note of that.
Okay.
First of all, Julie, thank you for being here. Glad that you're on Team Moreno, and Senator Moreno spent a lot of time here with us during his campaign, and it's good to have a connection so close with his office, and having you here is a benefit and part of that. I think, as Jack said, there's a lot of federal policy that has local issues, and one of those is, or local impacts, and one of those is the drug problem. You know, one thing that's going to change the problem a little bit is, you know, the border security and the fact that the supply of fentanyl is down. I think we'll see a rise in methamphetamines because of that.
That's true.
You know, so dealing with that is important. I do have, you mentioned the post office. Funny enough, I do have a constituent who reached out to me a couple weeks ago about, he's a local business owner and has some issues with the mail, and it's actually impacting their business. I think he's connected with Congressman Taylor's office now.
Okay.
But I'd be glad to pass along your contact information as well, and it'd be nice to have, you know, someone on the Senate and someone in the House aware of those issues.
Sure.
I also think of, you know, the excitement that's happening right now with the change in leadership, new administration in the White House, new majority in the Senate and the House for a policy matching that, or an agenda that's matching that. I think there's good things for sure about that. There are some things that have just been a little bit uncertain around the federal funding freeze and things like that. So just keep us, or we may keep you abreast of questions that we have where, yeah, this is a good thing, we're eliminating waste and such in the government, but communicating back over and up to Washington when we might have a stake, our constituents might have a stake in some of the things that we maybe thought were funded and then weren't, or something like that. And I can't think of any specific example except for maybe Cooks Hill Road was something where we thought we had federal funding identified. I don't know if that's still a little bit ambiguous.
Yeah, they're still in the yes, no, maybe.
Yes, no, maybe category, yeah, so.
I heard from Johnson that we got that.
That was before the federal freeze stuff.
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
Because he was here in our office, and
That would be true.
that was 2 thumbs up on federal funding, and then the next,
You know,
it was like
yeah.
the next day.
Then it's not,
they
then your
froze
thumbs are
it.
halfway, we don't know, they're not completely down, but they're halfway.
That may be
Yeah.
one we want to reach out to you on
Absolutely.
and figure out where things might be, or probably Congressman Taylor's office too, because he was involved in that. But that's all I've got. I appreciate you being here, and look toward having you here more often.
Absolutely.
We'll reach out to you to make sure that what's going on, and we'll figure something out.
Thank you. Yes, if you all have any questions on some of those issues, because I know some of that funding is waiting for the capital budget,
Right.
for the budget to pass, and so we'll know something more in March. When those pass, if some of those went through, but, and then some are, you know, with the freeze, which I believe most things are not frozen right now, but we'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of fluctuating on that, so any questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime.
I don't think it'll be as impactful as maybe everyone made it seem like it would be to local governments and
Yeah.
the funding that folks are already receiving. And it's exciting that, heck, you can hardly keep up with the news of what they're doing in the White House and the Senate and House. But
That's true.
Ohio has 2 great brand new
US senators, so. How's staffing going in your Washington office? You guys all staffed up?
We are, I believe we are about fully staffed in our DC office, so that's good. And our state staff is fully staffed now.
Good.
So we're hitting the ground running. So
We
just trying
have,
to get used to everything and, you know, learn all of our new counties. Because some of us haven't, you know, I haven't covered, no, I have 20 counties that I'm covering in the southeast region. So just trying to get to some of those new areas and meet people I haven't met yet.
We're doing a lot of focusing on infrastructure improvements here in
Great.
Orange County, and we're looking to grow, and a leading part of that naturally is thoroughfare plan and road maintenance and repair and replacement funds are always on the tip of the tongue. We got the president of the township trustees here. We just had a nice
Great.
meeting last week about funding potentials, and so anything that certainly the federal government can add to that, we'd be hopeful to talk about.
Absolutely, that's always a huge issue, is trying to find grants that fit for different projects. Some that might not fit for one, that might have not been accepted with one program, maybe we can find other programs that might be able to fit.
Well, the county roads and township roads are the welcome mat for the community, so we want to have best face forward and things all properly kept up and safe for the residents of Ross County.
Very true. I've met with some trustees and some mayors in different counties this past week who are also mentioning different things about OPWC and that funding for road paving that, you know, has dropped in past years. And I know that's more of a state issue, but we will also work with our, you know, the state senators and state reps to.
Well, that trickles down to us.
Exactly, that's right.
Well, like David said, we appreciate you coming
Thank
and
you.
leading us.
Absolutely, appreciate y'all taking the time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Cards up here if you need them. And
Great, and I don't have cards yet, so I will email you guys, so
Yeah,
you all
that would
have
be
my
great
phone
to have your
numbers.
email address.
So good to see you.
Yeah.
Thank
See
you.
Yep.
we'll give you somebody else.
That's all right.
I'll give you somebody else.
We can, yeah, they can get it to you.
Oh, yeah, they can.
There you go. Awesome, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Y'all have a great day.
You too.
You too. Take care. Safe travels.
Take care, thanks. Good, how are y'all doing?
Jim, you got something new, or
No, I just had some things to run in town. I just thought I'd
stop by?
see how the leaders of the counties were doing today.
We're doing.
Want to know if you need, we'll try to schedule that association meeting in April 28th. So, want you to make sure to make you aware of that.
Okay.
I held that day. I'm gonna make sure I get the right time from you.
Yeah,
This time.
you know what?
Is that 6 o'clock, or is it 5 o'clock?
I'll
Yeah,
follow
I
up
haven't
with you.
decided if it's 5:30 or 6, but I'll let you
So
know.
we'll put 5:30.
At
I just
5:30,
held like
there you go.
I held from like 4 to 8, so.
That's the 26th?
28.
28.
Don't
Okay.
ask me, actually, I should tell you.
28. Also put on your calendar, Jack, as a DAC meeting, the president of the commissioner board is one of the DAC members, or the health board, a yearly meeting, that'll be the March the 20th,
March
at 5:30, at the health district.
Okay. Not bad.
Of course, all of you can come, but president of the board has the voting power of that board.
That was March what?
March 20th. you back to normal yet, Udi?
Well, I can taste water.
You can taste water, what kind of what's water taste like?
Well, just plain. Might as well- If I'm gonna drink something, might as well just drink water, cause I'm not tasting anything else.
You still can't taste that? Really?
I had spaghetti last night, and I couldn't tell you if it was spaghetti or not. The only thing I know is it was spaghetti because the noodles was hanging out
Does it
my
look like
face.
it?
Other than that, oh yeah, I was. I'm blaming it on my wife, she's the one who brought it to me.
Do have a resolution for the Trio Creek and West Junction Road Bridge replacement. We talked about, last week, was that when Charlie came in?
Yeah.
So he's required consultants for bid preparation and contract administration. So this is to allow Charlie to go fishing for consultants to help him do that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
SBWC claim,
It's
did we
for-
discuss that in open session, or is this personnel issue?
Which one's it about?
Rod.
We were, last time we discussed it, it was executive session.
Yeah, I think it probably should be HIPAA recorded,
Yeah.
so we'll talk about it later on. Because we'll go into executive session over a couple things here. Then we have contract with a data company, Compass Integration, that the Common Police Courts wants to sign the agreement.
We'll get we started on that.
All right.
No, that's not.
That's outside the Andy's scope of interest here.
Well, my opinion, no. But if we don't do it, the judge is gonna give us an order to make us do it.
You want to get thrown in jail?
I'm not getting thrown in jail.
Okay, this is for contract period January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. Sounds like it's already a done deal anyway. Network support services, which includes services as indicated in the scope of work. IT strategic planning, project planning, information technology, hardware and software support. PCA client, remote access, antivirus, data backup, time and travel. Current estimate of ongoing monthly charges is $4,000 to $4,500, which includes labor. So that's just to upkeep their software service. That's about all you can say. Do I hear a second? I don't hear a second.
Oh.
Who made the motion?
David did.
I said okay, so
I make a motion that.
Okay.
That's translated down to okay. He's trying to be brief.
You could second if you want to.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye. Aye. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, like Meatloaf says.
I have my opinion, I'll keep it to
I
myself.
got you. The alternative is.
yeah, I don't, I mean. do what they want.
Go right in that boat and go right.
You gonna sign it or not? If not, fold it over and put it upside down on the table. You're a good man, I don't care what all those people say.
When this first came out, we have an IT, the county has an IT
Yeah,
department, which was in charge of doing the things at the court.
yeah.
Something personal came involved in it, and it no longer the county IT person just does it, it's an outside agency that does it.
I don't know what the security improvements is on
I do
that,
not
but
see any. It wasn't supposed to cost us any extra money each year, but it has. But if we don't do it, the judge gives a court order, says, yeah, we will do it.
yeah.
So,
So that is at least money we will save the county.
what's that?
Not having to take litigation on this. Cover the legal cost of defending ourselves.
It won't be legal, it would just be a court order, so it's fine. My thing is
It is what it
it's
is.
signed and over with, and we're
Yeah.
finished with it.
On to go.
Sometimes I can be hard-headed.
I've done such
Stick to my guns, and I stick to my guns on this. I will stick to my guns on this.
Get the juvenile court lease out of the way, and except for some discussion points with Deb.
Good morning.
Brad.
Well, sir.
Morning.
Good morning.
How we doing?
Feeling
Morning.
better, sir?
Are we doing good?
Are you good? Are you doing good?
Yeah,
Feeling
last
better?
week I was kinda,
That's what I heard.
last couple weeks or so, I was kinda down and out, but other than that,
I tell you, it's going around.
feeling
Everyone's
a heck of a
had
lot
it or getting over it.
just had, somebody out the Frankfurt area had it, tested positive, 3 days later, he was passed away. Wow. The guy was younger than I was. Kinda tough.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's right.
Thank you.
We're gonna wait till 10:30, in case the press wants to show up for this.
Throwing candy around.
Kathy does have some updated information on the personnel manual that we got from
All
CCAO.
your free time, you probably
We
want to
did
do that.
all the corrections in the manual and whatnot. And I haven't seen the finished product yet. Have they sent that to us?
I just printed it out this morning, it's 146 pages.
It's what?
146 pages.
I think that's longer than the old one was.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that was only 138.
Yeah.
Okay, so We'll have that as homework to look over and see
Yeah.
if it hits the marks. I'm sure the federal and state law and human resources will be updated, so we have that
Well, they
feather
probably,
in.
it likely did include things that are relevant today that didn't exist then. I mean, that was a lot of what our scratching.
The one we had was 2009, so I think a couple things changed in the world of HR
Yeah.
since then.
Technology,
But
remote work.
at least we'll have that, we can distribute to our departments and then the other offices, if they wanna do with it, what they wanna do with it. So at least it's updated and done.
Good.
Are we on TV today?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. I put on my makeup and brushed my hair.
Yep, you're loud and proud, right on front and center on the camera there.
Okay.
And when you talk, it zooms right in on your face, so.
Well, I'm gonna say as little as possible.
We've talked about that before.
Yeah. I think the original camera did.
Oh, did, yeah, that's right, yeah. Huntington Township has their
This has got like 3 or 4 cameras or something.
live streamed, and that's how they're.
Yeah, just, I think that's a cheaper option, really, because that's a pretty cheap camera up on the smart board. Now we got,
yeah.
these two up here,
Oh, wow.
and then a microphone right over your head
We could add one here, man.
there. Yeah, in front of the light.
So David's gotta talk a little louder.
Yeah.
Because last Monday I sat and watched what was going on, and
Either, I wonder if he can turn it up loud. Look.
Did you
I
hear,
think
could
this
you hear
sounds better
well?
now.
well, I can hear Jack, but David had to turn the sound up, turn the volume up a little bit better. He needs to talk.
Just have to lean up like that.
Yeah.
When I wanna say something, I wanna make sure everyone
Yeah,
hears.
It almost would have been better to have that mic on the backside of that light. instead of
Yeah.
front.
Instead of-
I'll take it. I have it at home, but thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
Should be, I mean,
You're
it's.
in.
I've heard feedback that it's much better than it was
Your name.
before.
Yes.
That's what
But that
Yeah,
is
it is.
still, but it's still,
Yeah.
there's sometimes where it can't hear what we're saying. People have told me they can hear whoever's here pretty well.
Yeah.
But
Well, that mic's in the perfect spot. That one
Yeah,
there's
that's
probably
what
getting
might
blocked a
need
little
to-
Yeah,
bit.
we might wanna talk to Andy about moving it behind the
Yeah,
slide.
I think it will.
Just, it's better than the city council when you gotta
Yeah.
push a button to turn your
That's what
mic
I
on
thought we were
and push the
getting
button to
individual ones.
turn your, there's sometimes I like to turn the mic off.
The CCA.
yeah, I was gonna say, that would be bad.
Well, then you get caught on hot mic, you know? when
Yeah,
you-
you get caught.
Well, that big red button's for,
Yeah.
or that big red light.
Yeah, we got share mics at our CCAO meetings, they're in between two people and you can't hear it, because you're trying to hear it in the room there.
Right.
Just you.
There's Devin.
Hi, Devin.
Well, I guess.
You threw away all your commissioner action reports.
Okay. You want more? I got more.
We figured that's coming anyway. Might as well have a little fun on it.
Do they have the one on River Road, is that up yet?
Oh, the sign?
Yes.
It is up and erected, they haven't done the base of it yet. Randy's hoping to get it done this week, and they gotta add the solar lights.
Okay.
That you can see it, it's very prevalent.
'Cause I haven't drove by there in a couple of weeks or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's up.
It's, I'm thinking, them guys stomp around in the mud and the snow and everything else trying to get that thing put up.
They had some bad weather pictures for that.
It is.
That's a big sign too, it looks good there.
Yeah, that's very good.
Just gotta get the base done and then the lights over it.
Still got the bike path to get done.
Yeah,
I see it.
the city is working on that,
Oh, yeah, that's great.
and it's very visible as you come 23 south, very
Yeah.
visible, like it definitely sticks out. Yeah, we definitely did not have weather on our side, because he wanted to get that done by the end of December, the first 2 weeks of January, and with the cold weather, they couldn't get the cement and stuff poured. He was probably tired every week. Do you have an update? Do you have an update? We got 1 minute.
Less than, just about 15 seconds.
Yeah. We endeavor to be accurate here.
Yeah, Kevin could fly through the door in the next 10
And
seconds.
he's been known to do that. Okay, it's 10:30.
Okay.
Floor is yours.
Officially do it. Okay, so thanks for taking the time to meet with me today and talk about tourism. Your investment in the county has a wide-reaching impact, and I truly appreciate all your support over the years. In your packet today, you'll find our annual tourism report, and we'll talk about that a little more. But other things in your packet is our 2025 marketing plan. You also have in your packet our board of directors, and you guys appoint all of our board, and I really appreciate the time and effort you make in making sure the right people are represented. And I have a great board who supports us and really understands the mission. And they really help us tell our story. And that's very, very, very important. You will also find our 2025 tourism budget along with our fiscal reports for 2024. So I don't expect you to go through page by page of that now, but if you have questions as you go through them, please reach out. So we are focusing our marketing and strategy for 2025 a lot more on digital marketing. We're still doing about 20% print marketing, but it is so expensive and it has such a very narrow targeted market. So we're doing a little bit of print, but really, really focusing on our digital marketing. So, we're not just focusing on marketing, but we also want to enhance the experience of our visitors once they arrive in Ross County. So we're trying to get our partners engaged and help visitors tailor their time here. There's many, many reasons why that's been proven successful. Because our goal is if they have a positive experience here, they'll either extend their stay or return to have more experiences here. And that's why our gap funding is so crucial for our partners. So we have allotted $25,000 in this budget to help our partners create events and market those events. And we're hoping to continue to allow those dollars to expand over the years. We're also evaluating our marketing successes in this report. Every year we go over our assets and what we have and why people want to come here. And then we really look at, did the marketing make a decision? So measuring return on investment in marketing is challenging because the results take time. It's not something I can run an ad today and say, oh, those people came tomorrow and stayed all night here, right? We have to get in their mind as they're thinking and planning what they want to do in future months. So someone who sees an ad may not visit until months later, but our strategy is once they see that ad, we feed digital ads to them throughout. Again, to have them see our message multiple times. So determining effectiveness can be very complex. We track engagement through digital marketing, for instance. When we run an ad, we follow up with the social campaign and see what comments. And then we flip around and say, okay, did that market really come here? So our partners are really good at saying, okay, so this, I'm just going to say Pittsburgh because I was there a couple of weeks ago. Let's say we see an increase in Pittsburgh. Well, then we can say, okay, we did a travel show there. We ran 3 ads there, and we spent $1,500 on digital campaigns. So obviously that made sense because now we're seeing that they're here in the community. But all of that just takes time. It's not one thing and then they're here. So internally, we track return on investment, targeting the right audience based on event, season, and lodging partner needs. You know, collaborating with local attractions to understand visitor engagement. What are they hearing when they come? Where are they coming from? How did they hear about us? Cooperating on advertising and sharing leads with local businesses. That's something else we do. So we run a lot of ads and then we'll get leads. Either they request a visitor guide, and then we also let our partners know that. So if Tecumseh wants to follow up with a brochure or an email, we share that with our cooperative partners. And then we also obviously partner with the city and county to ensure tourism efforts benefit the entire community. You know, for every dollar we spend on marketing, $66 is returned to this community. And additionally, every resident saves approximately $608 annually on taxes due to tourism economic impact. I mean, and that's just for basic services that we would have to pay for anyways. The future of travel. Good news is travel budgets are expected to remain strong in 2025, with more people planning to travel within the U.S. And I said in Canada when I did this report. Now I'm sort of questioning that comment since I had 3 groups canceled from Canada last week that was scheduled to come here this year. So, but Ohio is well positioned within a day's drive. 60% of the U.S. population can drive to Ohio. So building vibrant tourism and hospitality industry is key in retaining young people in our community. The same features that attract weekend visitors, lively restaurants, outdoor activities, thriving downtown, and historical sites, are also factors that encourage young professionals to stay in Chillicothe. Quality of life plays a crucial role in economic development and why people choose an area to work or live in. So I always said it starts with a visit. It truly does. Our attractions are gearing up for a busy season. We're hopeful that Tecumseh will get a break this year from extreme weather in 2024. In 2023, we had a lot of rain, which hurt them. We always thought rain was like the taboo for Tecumseh. We also found out heat also keeps people away. So late June, the first week in July, we had scorching heat. It affected the paints. It affected Tecumseh, all those outdoor recreation people just stayed in. So I'm hoping this year we had all this cold weather. Bugs should be dead. We're hoping not crazy weather this summer.
They're resilient little kids.
I'll tell you, it's like ebb and flow. You just never know. Weather does play a crucial role when you're so hinged on outdoor activities. We are excited to see new faces at the Ross County Historical Society and Adena Mansion and Gardens. We've been working closely with both Ohio History Connection and Andrew at the Historical Society to help pump up their season. If you'd like to get out and visit these attractions, along with the Lucy Webb Hayes House, the Genealogical Society, the Caboose, and David Nickens, they're all going to be open this Saturday, March 1st for Statehood Day. So get out, enjoy. Everything's free that day. So encourage people. I was just telling Kurt, he was telling me they have a new employee at the Fairfield, and I said, this is the day for them to get out and experience these attractions to see what we have. One thing that I will say, we have heard ninefolds over in the last 2 years, the authentic visit to Chillicothe. The trolley in our downtown has really kept people engaged and wanting to come back. So it might be Hopewell that brings them here, or Tecumseh or Adena, but it's our downtown and our restaurants is really what continues to bring them back. The trolley has definitely been a special touch. Everyone thinks that is just the most, you have a trolley? Like they're used to Marietta having a trolley, you know, they're like, wow. So I'd love to get that trolley more out to all of our attractions and not just in these few downtown blocks, but we'll work with the city on that. Tiffany Baldwin and her team's done a great job with downtown events. It's changed our demographics for visitors. For example, the average age for Sands in the Street attendees were between 25 and 37 years old. Now we're going to work on strategies to encourage those people to stay and eat and see what else we have. So last couple years, they've come in, they've played, they might have grabbed a drink, and then they went home. So really trying to figure out how to get them to say, oh, yeah, we could stay and do this, this, and this tomorrow. So looking ahead into 25, we're excited to welcome new visitors who want to experience what the Native Americans did in Ross County 2,000 years ago. Tourism brings more than just revenue. It shapes the positive images of our region and fosters collaboration with neighboring counties. And I would say that's the one thing World Heritage has really done for us. It has opened the door for so many conversations. How can we be a part of it? How do we get people to Adams County? How do we get people to Pickaway County and so forth? I mean, I will tell you, we are talking more and collaborating more than we ever have before, which will be a win for all of us. We're also gearing up for our 9th annual tourism banquet on May 6th, where we'll celebrate hospitality professionals at every level. We are giving away $25,000 this year and supporting local organizations for successful events. If you haven't done so, please save the dates. Make sure that's on their calendars. Thanks, Kathy. Closing thoughts. Thank you for your support. We look forward to working with you. In 2025, we did use that reallocation of funds from the wayfinding signage to do a full campaign with National Geographic. So we're working out the details of that right now. I've had several meetings with them. We just want to make sure we're spending that money wisely.
Yeah, that's where it should go back into is marketing. You gave a figure for the average tax savings per taxpayer for tax reduction. What was that number again?
$608. And that's just for basic services, whether it's fire, police, roads, just things that our visitors get a bump in by just having tourism activity in the county.
You're saying because their activity in the county, revenue that's collected from them offsets?
Offsets.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking in those terms quite a bit. One thing we're looking at right now is working with the township trustees to improve the township roads as well as the county roads, and looking for new ways to pump some revenue into that. Because we think our township and county roads is a welcome mat to the community. So
Absolutely.
People that come and visit the Hopewell sites or downtown, they're going to see just the natural aesthetics of the Ross County and want to go out and explore that a little bit more. So that means driving out on country roads, and that's where you really get the sensation of it. So,
And that's true. We share a lot of visitors with the Hocking Hills region. And so 180, which we drive every day, that's important though, that it's maintained well, because if they struggle getting here, they will come.
So remember that part of it instead of what they saw.
Absolutely.
So we want it all to be
County Line Road, straight shots, take a one.
Yeah, but they like the hills, right? Especially our motorcycle visitors love. They don't want to drive around 270. They want to be on these Appalachian roads.
Yeah, I live on 180. You sit out on my porch one evening in the summer. That's all you see, motorcycles going by up and down the hill.
Motorcycle and Jeepers now. Jeepers has become a big deal.
I would say it's a good point on the offset and the revenue that's generated by lodging taxes. I used to say this a lot before I was a commissioner, but involved in other boards of, visitors bureaus and convention boards. The local business owner, the hotel owner or the Airbnb owner, they're not the ones paying those lodging taxes.
It's not levied on the property.
It's not levied on the property owner. It's not a part of their tax burden. It's a pass-through. And to me, just as a local policy maker, as a local leader, that's a great thing, because we're as you said, offsetting
the taxes that would be otherwise be paid for, those services would be paid for by our residents. And functionally, when you make a hotel reservation, it's like a sales tax. You don't think about the percentage when you're doing that. You're looking at the rate. So I think that's a great tool. And my other point was, this is a very great system you have for marketing. Not just the marketing plan, and I'm going to read that, but the integration that you have with other partners, I think is really your tourism, your convention bureau. They are the ones telling our story beyond the county lines, and when you can point to where you've already partnered with your or you've already collaborated and really integrated with your partners that you work with, that's excellent. I don't really know where else that maybe is happening in the county, or even in other visitors bureaus that do that so well, where you're piggybacking something that you're already doing with follow-ups to your partners. And
Oh, it's key.
Yeah.
I mean, it's truly key.
David, if I could make a comment. If you look back over the last 10 years, and we have roughly, COVID was pretty tough, but
Yeah.
roughly 1 million people that have stayed in our hotels on North Plaza Boulevard over the last 10 years. We have not received one complaint on lodging tax that we collect and we remit. And I think that's pretty consistent, even with those that have, Steph could speak to it as well. That's not something that we hear as feedback from those that are traveling. It's just part of what you pay when you go to stay at a hotel. Secondly, I would like to say that in my time and working here, the time I have with Melody, I've never worked with somebody so committed to their position of what they're doing to have influence. She's taking calls at 10 o'clock at night. She's on boards at Higher History Connection. She's always going to meetings in Columbus. She's going to Kiwanis. You have somebody that is working tremendously hard for the benefit of our community. You don't see that everywhere in the executive director position. So I'm very thankful for the work that Melody Young does as our executive director. And I've seen it, I've experienced it. I go shoulder to shoulder with her. We talk late at night, early in the morning, and I could not be happier with the partner in Melody. And as the president of the Convention Visitors Bureau, there's no one that I would want more to my side than this person right here.
I think the county has a good team in total, because when you talk about people that are very good at what they do and have made a measurable mark in this area, the guy sitting in the back of the room, Mike Throne, I'll tell you what, we didn't always see eye to eye when I was mayor. I gotta admire him for what he's done in his current role with this town. So we've got, and then, you talk about Tiffany in downtown Chillicothe, and we just got a special group of people together now that we need to understand that we're blessed with first, but then give more collaboration, which kind of leads me to my second point. This regionalization, this stackable events, turn events into experiences. And I think that's the best thing we can do right now, because that's how this guy got 154 million out of 500 million with the Appalachian Community Grant. We went regional with our approach. And that always wins. It wins with the state, it wins with the neighbors, and we just built a stronger blotch of Ohio that's special. So.
And that's crazy, because like when I even first started, I was very focused on Ross County. I'm like, oh yeah, we need lodging tax. Visitors does not know county lines. It didn't take me long to realize, if you're coming here for business or for visitation, 90% of the time you're gonna stay here. And sometimes, we share with Pickaway County or Pike County. That's not a bad thing.
No.
I mean, so that from this regional approach side and all of us lifting each other up. I met with Benton County last week, and she said, I'm doing an ad in their visitor guide we do a trade out, they get something in ours, we get something in theirs. And she said, yeah, the bad thing is they always stay at Ross County. She goes, they might drive down here to see the Moonville Tunnel, but they're not staying down here, they're staying with you.
Unless they're camping, but there's no lodging tax.
Yeah, you know, and that's the main point. You know, if we turn events into experiences, they're gonna go to the hotels, they're gonna go to the restaurants, and that feeds not only your boat, but that feeds your boat, and we just make this a cyclical,
And we have the Ross County
growth.
Parks, we have, there's so much attraction and opportunity to keep them here, and,
We just have to capitalize on it.
yeah.
Well, and also, Melody, you brought this point up. I said this a lot. The same things that attract tourists are the same things that we enjoy as residents here. And so we've talked about that in focus groups for the comp plan, and I think that fitting tourism in and marketing into that conversation, I think is important. And it's true. I mean, people who live here enjoy the same things that folks who come here to enjoy them.
Absolutely.
And what I can tell you, when I built the Fairfield, everyone asked me, why are you building another hotel? Well, a lot of our community doesn't understand tourism and how it operates and how it works. And you're talking to somebody who came from hospitality prior to this position, and we know hospitality pretty well, and I followed the data and the numbers and the opportunity with UNESCO and so forth. And unfortunately, you know, our community doesn't understand. Well, they're not paying the tax to begin with because it's collected and passed through. And so I think it's very, very positive that we have people who really know tourism very well, that are doing the marketing, that are assessing the opportunities and bringing it to fruit for the broader community, whether they understand tourism or not.
Well, I think it's important to have a Visitors Bureau that recognizes that's its role. You know, I've been a part of other organizations who have struggled because, you know, it's kind of a catch-all to plan an event or do that. You know, yeah, there's a piece of that, but really the bones of it all is the fact that it's about hospitality, because that's what drives the funding, and the ability for you to do other things with that. And yeah, I just think it's, and I'll say we've got good hotel products here. I mean, that we have a diverse product line for folks who, you know, maybe they're looking for somewhere for a quick, cheap night, or maybe they're
We have an
in
explosion of
Hampton or the
Airbnbs.
Fairfield and
And the explosion of Airbnbs, right, which is very good. People, you know, in downtown Chillicothe, when they were looking and assessing a lot of things, and they were discussing a hotel downtown, and people like that intimate experience of an Airbnb that's more personal in nature, as much as we try. It's just, we're much bigger. I think Airbnbs have a really valuable place in this community to fill. Now, we lost 2,500 room nights due to Airbnbs, but that's okay. It is good for the experience of Ross County, Chillicothe to have Airbnbs. So, and I don't want to get into the lodging tax of that, but there has been a loss of some lodging tax with some Airbnbs not collecting and remitting. And I think that's an important opportunity for education.
And that's something we need to take a look at.
We need
That's
to take
definitely
care
need
of
to
it.
Take a look at it.
Yeah,
I know you
take
will.
care of that.
And I think that my thing is I get on Mel all the time about, hey, you know, it should be Ross County instead of Chillicothe, but she knows that, and I know that she does an excellent job. She does an excellent job. We have a good team that's working. Tammy came up here, and she's also, with her side, is working together with all of us and with everybody else, and I think everybody's working together.
And I think that says a lot.
And I
You have the
think so, yeah.
chamber,
Yeah,
economic
chamber.
development, the visitors, we are
You
supporting each
work
other.
together. You're gonna
We
need that.
always work together.
And like I said, I joke around with you all the time, but my
I know,
thing
I
is-
almost covered
you
this
do it-
up on
Yeah,
yours, but I
listen.
Remember, visitors don't know counties. We know counties, but visitors
I
don't.
joke with you all the time about that, and you do an excellent job.
Thank you. appreciate it.
You know, one thing I'd like to see is sort of, you talk about putting the personal connection there. And if we could get some sort of a training or just some enlighten our hotel employees, our gas station employees, or the people that meet the public and, you know.
We have created a book, all the hotels, restaurants have it. I'm not sure how much it's used, but it has a lot of information in it. We know that everyone's struggling keeping employees long-term, so I sometimes think it gets pushed
I know that,
away.
isn't there something that is still on the
Yeah.
website about?
On our resource tab,
Yes.
and we've had 684 people take the ambassador training for World Heritage.
I'm an ambassador.
It does come, who she was referencing, I was discussing that we have a new, the two groups that get the most exposure with our guest, it's our breakfast and it's our front desk. And so Jennifer being new, I was discussing with her, she moved from Detroit and was saying, hey, there's a whole lot here in the community. Well, my husband's from here. And I said, gosh, I'm gonna run over to tourism. I'm gonna get you information about all the opportunities that are here so that you can get out and experience, because that way you can have conversations with our guests and be aware. Now, we have a binder, but when you get hired at the Marriott or Hilton, there's 2 weeks of training before you can even do anything in your job. So it kind of gets lost in that initial wave of hiring that then we just need to layer in and follow up on. And we are doing that. It's not easy because turnover too, happens. But we're committed to doing it. And Melody's gone around to all the gas stations and has delivered, the binders.
They're not there the next time I go back and have a touching point, but we're trying.
I mean, that's a pretty big elephant to eat in one bite. Everything there is to do around here, can you like parcel off a few, a handful of places to recommend to go to and rotate that every week?
Well, and what we've done, I know Steph did this last year with the history store staff. She took them to Tecumseh and to Haunted Mountain, I think, right? To get them to get the experience. We also offer tickets to all of our partners to go experience Tecumseh or Edina Mansion at any time, on their time, but we will give them the tickets to have that experience.
And our employees do appreciate that opportunity.
And I think the Hampton did it last year on their own even. They had all of the employees go, that was part of their extra. And it's fun, right? Like, if I thought I could go to a Edina Mansion and not pay $12, it's free, and then I get to learn everything about it. I mean, that's a win.
Especially if you're on the clock.
Yeah, typically they're not on the clock. They do it on their own.
It's volunteer.
Same thing with Mighty Kids. We offered 2 years ago, any employee that wanted to take their kids to the Mighty Children to come and get passes from us. I think we had 13 that took advantage of it.
Yeah,
But it's important for them to experience it, because you can't tell someone, oh yeah, I hear Tecumseh is great, or I hear the Poorhouse is a great place to eat. You have to experience it.
Well, we certainly appreciate the work everyone in the room does with regard to this, and like I told you last week when we met, this is not an expense. This is an investment for sure, because there's a definite ROI attached to it. So we appreciate all the things you guys do, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in.
Moving forward.
That's it.
Should have all finished with Phil County.
Save Ross County from Phil County, is that what you said?
Ross County on top of it.
Oh, okay, I thought you said.
Put it on top of it.
Great work as always.
Yeah, it didn't hit me as bad as it hit some other people.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. How we doing? Good.
I'm doing excellent. Thank you, Jack.
How are you?
Thank you so much.
Are you next?
See you, David. Thank you.
So when do you have time to do any work?
That's a great question. I know.
I'm your new
I know. Somehow I find it.
That's good.
Well, I've got good staff. I've got excellent.
You don't have to look over them.
No, except when somebody calls me on the weekend, hey, there's 2 fire trucks at the front of the Quality Inn, what's going on? And then, oh, had other issues at Christopher.
Yeah.
Well, it's tax season and locals are getting their money and they're going to spend it, they're causing trouble.
Lots to do, for sure.
That's usually how it works.
Is that what it is?
Hey, have a good day.
I got people who will call me and keep me informed. So, thank you so much for your support.
Hey, thank you, same time. All you do.
I sent him a text with your paper.
Oh, did you?
You leaving?
Okay.
I got work to do.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's not like Kurt McCallum.
thanks, Jack. David, take care.
You too.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I got the right one. Same hat, that's the right one.
Yeah.
See you.
Maybe it's my internet, so.
Maybe you got way too many messages.
Well, that could be too. Yeah. Have a good day.
All right, see you.
We'll see you.
I gotta go dig a grave.
It's gonna warm up today. It's a good day for digging graves.
Yeah, it is. Better than it was.
Unless you're going at it, right?
That's what I think. Right. Yeah, it's wet out there. It's slew of them and they all kind of get nasty weather, so this will be a break.
It's gonna be 57 degrees today.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
For the video.
Yeah,
What
it's
time
hard.
do you wanna do that?
The tracker just jumps up and down.
Yeah. Have a good one.
You too.
I've done graves before during the summertime, summer job. Yeah, that lasted about a week. You was digging them by hand then.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, I was digging them by hand then.
Oh, okay.
And,
That would be
we were
ready.
sitting, yeah, we were sitting there and, put the slab for the cement vault
Just
in,
barge in.
put the casket down in there, we put the vault over.
Hello.
Hi there, how are you?
How are you guys?
I need for you to jump on.
Good.
I said, I ain't jumping on. They said, yeah, I need for you to jump on.
So I am just here for like clarification.
Air out.
Pretty much.
I said, I'm done. What am I doing here?
So, I have reports that I received from Kathy, and I don't know if I read them wrong, or I just need clarification on what received for the budget. Can we show you what I have?
Yes.
Okay. So, and I looked back at last year's, because I thought, did I mess up? So, there on the one page, it shows that we, the 325, you'd already seen this.
Yes.
Okay, and then the 25, okay. So basically, that's what it boils down to, and then I got the monthly reports that I get, and it has the 325 with the 50 over here. Last year, we asked for 309, and that doesn't show up on there, so I don't know if I'm reading them wrong, or what happened, or if you guys can explain, because we do a state match, so our funds are a little bit different. Whatever we receive from you guys, the state matches that 80 cents to the dollar. So we have to have that kind of upfront to decide what our budget's going to be for the year. And when I was working on the state match is kind of when I found that. So I mean, we're talking like a difference of 50,000 from you guys and then another 40 from the state. So it makes a huge difference on our end. So
When we look at the spend of over the last several years, you notice that it was right around 275.
okay.
And then we didn't see anything in the budget that looked like it was going to raise significantly in total expenses. Because your actual request only went up 20,000.
We requested 325.
You requested
I
325.
know, but your
Yeah.
total expenses budget for
Okay.
2025 went up about $20,000 over what the anticipated appropriation was for 2024. And that was significantly less than what you spent in 2023. It was 513 then, or 519, I'm sorry. So, you know, that's the way we look at budgets. And we made a swing this year to make it align more with the actual expenses, because we found other departments have been establishing slush funds where there's been an exorbitant amount that has been dedicated to it, that wasn't showing up in the actual expenditures, and then there was a return back to the general fund at the end of the year.
Okay.
So we're just trying to align the expenses with the requests up a little bit tighter.
I think we have someone retiring this year too, which is gonna be
So there's gonna be a
pretty
buyout.
good, yes.
Okay, and that doesn't show up on the budget.
Significant. Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't do the budget. Bob retired, and he did the budget before he left, and the budget meetings were going on at that time, so I kind of jumped in on this at the last minute.
Well, that's fine, that's fine.
So
But,
I can't really.
That does shed a little light
Yeah.
on the need for some additional funding.
Yes.
And, when we keep it in the general fund, for things that are unforeseen like that, coming in and asking for an appropriation, is how we would handle that. We would never just deny you fund and say, tough luck, you gotta get it from someplace else. But we wanna run a little bit tighter ship. I think that's good stewardship for taxpayer funds. Too many entities treat it like, hey, it's party time, and you can spend the taxpayers' money on whatever we want to, and we're not saying past commissioners here have done that. But, I've got a background in this as a turnaround manager for businesses, and so that's the best way to keep it under wraps and not get a mindset of use it or lose it.
On our
when you get
end,
tax funds.
on our end, those funds being appropriated in the beginning of the year helps us with our state match. Instead of us going mid-year and saying, hey, I need to appropriate these funds to do a payout. That's why, I guess what I'm trying to say, it's better to have it in the beginning than halfway through.
Yeah, and then,
If you're willing to appropriate that.
You
anyway.
can certainly estimate match into the budget. You're gonna know pretty well what that match requirement's gonna be. So if you needed to be in the grant or the award from the county, as long as we know what it's gonna be for, we don't really have problems with, giving allocations for funding, for funds out of the general fund, but we can't read minds by the same token.
Right.
So
Are you saying that you would like for me to figure the buyout, the payout, and put that in?
That's tough to do.
Is that what you're?
That's where an allocation comes in. I don't know if you upped it from 275 to 325. That's a pretty significant jump.
Right.
And that's not a typical payout, I
Right.
wouldn't think. But, you're never gonna hit that nail on the head. So, if you knew about it before the end of the year when you were putting your budget together, sure, factor it in. But understand that if it happens that, and you need more funding, that there's a way to go about doing that as well. So, if it's jumping from 275 to 325, outside of the payout, what would you need that for?
Well, we're implementing, we're being utilized a lot more than what I think that we were with all these additional programs, with the drought assistant programs coming out. And our guys are out all the time, and I'm now jumping in and trying to fill that void, along with doing this other, my other job responsibilities. So I do see a need for an additional employee at some point, especially, I guess we have one instance that we're gonna have to talk with the auditor about, but Greg Roush, he does a lot of the GIS and everything for the county. So that is the one that's gonna be retiring, and so we got a lot of changes coming up and down the pike. So, but we have had the H2 Ohio, and they've just been utilizing soil and water a lot more, and that's really what those funds would be for.
So you got training and certification costs and things like that, I get that.
Yeah.
But if we know about that when you present the budget, then it makes a lot more sense, to me at least, that additional costs are gonna be required.
Yeah.
But when we don't hear anything, you know, and it just all of a sudden.
And I
pops up
wasn't,
50
like I
grand.
say, I wasn't
Right.
really, I was here for the meeting, but it was kind of already put together.
Mhm.
So,
And I think we gotta do a little bit better job communicating back when we make those kind of decisions and you end up with a final budget instead of waiting for the first months of bills to come through and then say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought we were getting in this line item.
right.
You know, so,
Well, the paperwork was what initially I thought that we did get it, so that's where that
Mhm.
all went into,
Yeah.
it was confusing, so.
You made your request for 325.
And I thought that's what we got, yeah. And so, then when we didn't, when I seen that went in at 275, I guess I don't understand the reports, I guess. So if someone could explain it to me, that's what help me understand, that's what I need. Someone to help me understand. I mean, this is new to me too, so this is the January, and so it shows this 325 hanging out here. Then that's what we got. And then we have this 50,000 sitting over here.
Where did you get this from?
This comes from, like the payroll and out of
yeah,
the
that came
office.
from the office.
Yeah, out of the auditor's office.
Why is that 325?
And so then last year they told me that it's because that's what I asked for. But when I pulled out last year's, that number's not there, and we asked for 309. So I was very confused, I'm just confused, and I just need someone to, I'm not pointing fingers, I just need to know what I'm doing.
That number shouldn't be there.
And that's what I think.
That 325 should not be there.
Yeah, that's the budget.
This is background
Mm-mm.
for you guys.
That's her request,
Right.
Yeah.
which would not be her
I'm
budget.
agreeing with you.
Oh,
It
okay.
shouldn't be
Yeah,
there.
that shouldn't be
That's-
there.
If that's not there.
Yeah,
it
that's,
shouldn't be there.
that should be 275.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That
So
should be
that's why I
275, that
thought
should
we
be
got,
275, that should be 275.
That's what's driving
That
it.
shouldn't be there.
An unclaimed balance.
yeah, so that's why I'm confused.
I don't, that's what I said, this 325 should not be there.
So that's why I thought we got 325.
Yeah.
Well, this
I
show,
got it.
this is showing you got
Right.
325, and we
And-
still owe you $50,000 more.
Right, and that's why, I mean, my board approved that we accepted the 325 because
Did
that's what I thought we got. And so I'm just so confused. Well, this one right here is, yeah, and that shows that.
It shows that
that
you
here
got,
it's here.
it shows that you got 325.
Right,
Do you want me to call one of the fellows?
but the appropriation
Yes.
was made for 275.
Because that shouldn't, I mean, that shouldn't even be there. That 325 should not be there.
And the appropriations was made for 275.
Mhm.
And I have that appropriation sheet, so they don't jive. And that's why I'm so
That's, she
confused.
came in, her and Bryce Arledge came in a couple weeks
Acton.
ago. Agton, sorry.
It's fine.
Right,
It's fine.
right,
I went to school with Bryce, sorry.
You did?
But,
Yeah,
and that's why I said, you guys are gonna have to come back. First of all, I'm also new.
I said, I just need you to help me understand.
And the other thing is, you know, this is a conversation we kind of
Yeah, see, now you got,
That's
you
the,
got the 275 there.
right, it's just a discrepancy, and that's
But
why
if
I'm
you
so
read this,
confused.
we still owe $50,000 on that.
Right,
Jeff's on his way up.
yeah.
Jeff's going up. Okay.
You might decipher these reports.
Well, I talked to Jeff, and he just said I
How'd that
need to
work
come.
out?
He,
Never mind.
basically, I think he agrees that number shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, that number shouldn't
And
be
he said
there.
I needed to
And that's
come
the
to
same
the
thing with
commissioners.
it, that it shouldn't be there either. The 325 should
I
not
don't
be
think
there.
so either. I'm in agreement. When I pulled last year's reports, that's what I see, so at first it was like, that's what you asked for, but I asked for
Because you
309
had-
last year, and I
Because you
just,
asked for 309 last year, you got,
we got 275, but
275
that
last
number
year.
didn't show up. That
Yeah, that
309 didn't
309
show up
was
in
there.
those columns. And that was just me trying to double check, because I didn't know what to do. Yeah. I'm not pointing fingers or anything, I'm just trying, I
Well,
just
I'm
need you guys to help me
I don't care.
understand.
I'll just say, you know, first, thanks for coming back and sorry I couldn't be more helpful when you
No,
guys
it's
were
fine,
here.
it's fine.
Like I said, there was a few reasons for that. One, I didn't want to have this type of conversation, me and you and Bryce, without these guys. The second part of it is
Bryce who?
I'm Bryce acting. Bryce and I I was not a part of the 2025 budget, and I'm new, so I'm still learning a lot of the budget aspects of it. I agree with what the commissioners did with the 2025 budget in general, where we're, first of all, have to have a balanced budget. Second of all, we have traditionally had a lot of departments and entities, agencies that have always increased the request, but have never actually increased the spending to match that. So kind of right sizing that frees up a lot of space with that. I don't know that there was an understanding, at least not on my part, of the cost share component of all of this. I think that you're right that soil and water, especially on a year like last year where there's a historic drought, that shows that you guys are an important value to the growers in our community. And I'll just say, I think we're kind of talking about or identifying opportunities how we can improve our budgeting process so that we can tighten up stuff like this a little bit more and know what we're doing with more detail.
So you did your matching funds?
I was starting the paperwork, I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
And I stopped because I'm like, wait a minute.
You said those are due in June.
No, they're
Or-
due, I have to have it in at the very latest May 1st. But
May
they have to
1st.
go to other people before they
Before you
actually
do.
get to May 1st. So I have a few, so I was working on it and that's when I'm like, wait a minute. Because I
Well,
just went
that's
off of this, had the board approve to accept the funds from the commissioners. And then when I got this, I'm like, they only put 275 in there. So then that's when I think I called Madeline downstairs, and she gave it to Jeff. Then Jeff called me, and he said, you got 275. I said, well, the paperwork I received says 325. He said, send it to me. I did. He called me. He said, you need to make an appointment to get on the agenda to talk to the commissioners. So I said, okay. And well, we would love to have the 325, of course, but I just need to know.
That's what I said, because right now.
I just need to
Right now,
know.
if
I
you
need
look
to
at
know.
325 and you're getting $8 out,
80 cents.
80 cents out of the dollar,
Yeah.
getting $8 out of 10, which is the same thing.
Same price, yeah.
Same thing.
Getting $8 out of a dollar. Pretty good.
800,000 out of it.
I don't know what they're doing.
Right.
If you're working at this number, but you're not getting, we didn't give you that number, and you got that number, it's gonna be totally different.
Yeah.
We're talking.
So it's a lot, yeah, so I'm just confused.
Well, and I think there's urgency around what you need to figure out there, given
Yeah.
that you've got to make first.
Hey,
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
right.
I just wanted to get on there.
you get involved in stuff like this?
I'll take it. I'm listening.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So what's going on?
I just showed them the paperwork that I received and I'm just trying to ask to help me understand.
Yeah.
That's basically.
I think we're trying to figure out how the 325.
How the 325 got on, she's got 325 here on this
Well,
line.
Yeah, so that's, when they come in, we enter the requests, and it just stayed in there, just an oversight. But all that's been appropriated is
Is
what.
the
you guys
275.
gave. So it's just a question of whether you're gonna do the additional 50 or not.
Well, she's explained that they have an employee buyout, long-term employees retiring, and then also they're doing a lot more replacement of people that need training and certifications.
Okay.
So I'm kind of seeing the sense in the additional $50,000 being needed.
I don't even think a payout is an option, so if you have to do it, you have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just a matter of making the appropriation.
Okay.
I think with that also driving what you're gonna get as cost share from the state is important detail in what we do as an appropriation, because like you said, the justification for what we've done and kind of clearing out some of these budgets to align more with expenses is a is a good practice, but there's an extra level of consideration when you're looking at it from a cost share standpoint. I'm okay with there being a little bit more if that's gonna be adding the share of the burden on your operational funding from the state. And like I said, with what farmers and growers have experienced this past year, I can see where you guys are probably pretty busy
We are.
right now, and there's a lot to,
Well, we never replaced somebody because we're trying to conserve funds.
yeah.
And, but it's just getting to the point where it's getting tight, and, especially if we lose the other one.
Could you
we have-
explain that relationship to me? You have a GIS
Talking about
guy.
Greg?
We're talking about Greg, and
Yeah.
then we'll have to replace him. He does I don't know what we're doing yet, and that's a whole big thing up in the air that we all have to have a discussion
Right.
about.
Well, I talked to Greg maybe the week before last. I had this summer in my mind, but he told me it might be end of the year. So,
Yeah, we're hoping.
So is that,
This
I'm
summer.
sorry, just the most basic level. That's your employee that works with them,
Well,
or their employee that, or is it
kind of
some sort of
both.
shared?
yeah,
We share him.
he's the GIS guy and he coordinates the overhead photography.
Yeah.
We use it, other county offices use it. So he helps with the auditor's office, he helps with them. He's funded.
Working on the 911 system right now.
I mean,
Yeah.
dude, that stuff is
He does a lot of
incredible.
stuff.
It's technical stuff that a lot of departments.
I would
use.
bet, I mean, Devin, Tammy,
Yeah.
Everybody uses it.
everyone uses it.
Yeah.
And it's important to have accuracy. Even people who don't work for the county who are just,
A lot of people ask him, we'll get a lot of requests in our office for stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mapping, all kinds of mapping stuff, and I always send them to Greg, and he takes care of it right now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He does a great
He's
job.
good.
this guy.
And it's a benefit because of what you're talking about. He's paid from soil and water, that brings additional revenue, so.
Is he paid 100% out of soil and water? Or,
Yes.
okay,
Yes,
And has been for many years.
yes.
yeah.
It's another log on the fire.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
And we also have the drones are like a big thing now too, so we've been flying waterways, and we've really upped our game, I guess, for lack of better words, for soil and water,
Yeah,
so.
that one drone they have, they can see tile pipe in the ground.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's really, really important.
It
from-
is, it's super important.
From
Make
not
sure you
just
have
like
somebody
the relief or awareness aspect on, and management aspect of drought, but just,
Yes.
we're a big ag community, and
And our-
everything
yeah.
everything that leaves a field into a water stream here ends up in the Gulf of Mexico.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah,
Gulf of America,
Yeah.
30 years. Hey, 30 years.
It's hard headed to break.
Yeah, it is. Hey, it is the Gulf of America. Like I said.
We just gotta lose some funding because you said the Gulf of Mexico.
We've got Sarah who can clarify that.
Yes.
There'll be a tabloid article about that somewhere.
At what point in time did I lose control of this meeting?
So and it sounds like
Control's an
it's,
illusion.
Yes.
it sounds like because there's a payout involved, it's a must. All you would need to do is make the appropriation.
Okay, I got a note here to make the appropriation for 50,000.
Yes. Yeah.
Second. Okay.
Second, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay.
Clear that up.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
A little understanding goes a long way.
Yeah.
And actually, this ties into the follow-up we'll be having with the townships later on. You can offset that, and I'll show you how, when we have that conversation this afternoon.
Would check your paperwork and make sure that 325 was taken off, that she has on her sheet, even though we give her that extra $50,000. Because that's what threw everything off.
Well, it wasn't, what it was that the request was 325.
Right.
That's what they plugged
This
into
is
the
the one
revenue
you didn't
figure.
see, that he's talking about, that's the one.
That, I'm talking about that one, it says
That's the one
325.
you didn't see, Cause I just got that one.
But this is what I'm saying, so this is their budget as a revenue item. in your expense item, you put in 275, and so that's what was transferred, and that's what created the $50,000 gap.
Mhm.
So the only, if you're making that additional 50,000 transfer, this brings them
Up to that
That's right,
325.
up to that 325.
Well, my thing is use your office, for example. Let's say that your office made a request for $350,000,
Yeah.
but we only give you $275. Would that $350,000 still be in that line?
It would be in as a revenue projection.
But not as a budget, because if I read that right, that says that's their budget, that 325.
That's their revenue budget.
Mhm.
Their expense budget is different. So
Okay.
their expense is what you give them.
Right,
The revenue is what they project.
okay. I just
So,
want somebody else come in there and say, hey, you know, we
Is that way,
budget.
is it that way for all of them?
I just don't want somebody else to come in there and say, hey, you know, we requested $350,000,
right.
but you guys only give us 275. Why come you didn't give us the 325?
Well, think
And
about
then
like if
they'll
you-
come out and say, well, here's a copy of this, just like she did, came up and showed us this copy of this thing that she has $325,000.
Am I right in saying that, and I'm just speculating, so this 325 probably shouldn't have been on this. It's just at 275. Am I right, or, I mean, and that's why that number's on there. I mean, I'm just trying to understand too.
Well, expense is what you get.
But this is the revenue, and this is what was on the paperwork. So is that why, should that number have been on here? Or should have it said 275?
They should have said 275.
No, that's your projection though.
So where did okay, so last year's reports,
They requested 209.
last year
And they
report,
got
we requested
275.
309.
And
But that
309,
number's not on
and
there.
309 never came up
Two
anywhere.
275.
I'd have to look at it.
Yeah,
Because that's why I'm confused on reading these, I don't wanna mess up, as I'm asking
Because she
because
got
I don't know.
she requested 309 last year, but she got
Last year's.
275.
And it says 275, well, we requested 309.
And that 309 is no longer, it's not on there.
I'd have to look at it. I mean, if you like, we can get it on the computer.
So I'm just asking why this would be like that, but that is like this, that's why I'm asking,
No, 325 is what you project. So like the equivalent would be like if we expect to get 5 million in property tax revenue and we actually get 4.5 million, there's a $500,000 gap. 325 is what they projected for this year as a request. What the commissioners funded was 275, and so that's what creates that $50,000 gap. So for them to spend beyond 275 would take an appropriation, which is what you guys have done. But their actual budget
It's
until today
275.
was 275 because that's what the commissioners approved.
so on that
But
paper
that
where it says
320
budget,
But
it
this
should
says
say
budget, this says a
275.
budget of 325.
Because
Right.
you
No.
have budgeted 325 in revenue. But until just now, you have not received
Okay.
325 in revenue. You budgeted 325 in revenue. What you received was 275 until they provided this additional 50, which brings you up to your budget of 325. So there's the revenue expectation.
So that paperwork is my
Revenue
expectation, not what's
expectation
real?
And actual revenue is what we should be dealing with it because that's the reality of it.
That's what I said,
But
that's why I was thinking that the
Even if you
325
have the
should not even be.
request and then the actual revenue on there as two separate columns, that tells a story that they can deduce, hey, I don't have enough money here. But when it comes out of a surprise, because nowhere in their documents does it give an indication that they're underfunded. Except for an
Well, no, it does though. Here.
in the last
I mean,
column.
I wanna understand too,
Well, here,
so
hold on.
I'm just,
So there's the budget,
Right.
the revenue budget of 325. You have received 275 year to date. Your uncollected balance is 50.
Okay, but that's,
So they-
to me, that really doesn't make any sense because even though she requested 325, she requested 325, we only give them 275, so that number should be nothing.
No.
but that's how the reports were last year.
This
That's
number,
why I'm,
the uncollected balance is the difference between what you gave them and what they budgeted for revenue. There's the revenue ask, and then there's the expense
That's their
budget,
internal budget.
which is what they're actually given. So the reason you see
So
a
we
50
don't look at the budget column then, we need to we need to look at this month, the revenue,
So
the
you
to-date
look,
column.
but you look at the state grant, and they granted them 250,000, they've given them 57,000 so far, and there's the uncollected balance, which means, in their mind, that they can still expect that
Right.
to make the total of this.
It's the same here, and that's why she came and asked for it. But had you guys not said we agree to give the 50,000, that gap would still be there, just like if the state said, we're not gonna give you this, that gap would
So my question is, when any agency or department runs this, will it have on it their request or their budget as this line of it, and then next to it will have what their actual
It'll show their,
appropriation is?
their revenue budget, which is what they expect in revenue.
Their
It'll show
request.
their actual revenue receipt, which is what the commissioners have given,
That's
and
what's
it'll show
missing
that
here, though.
gap.
So expectation and actually, I guess, when you say expect, is that what we requested? Because I'm,
Yes.
Your understanding was that you were gonna get 325. That's your expectation. The commissioners appropriated 275. That's what created that gap. And so you came in to say, hey, what about that extra 50,000 that we asked for? They have closed that gap.
See, if that
What they
that
did
logic
today.
applies, then they're still gonna ask the state for what the 192, and they're gonna ask the wildlife grant for the 20,000. That's where the logic kind of falls off.
I don't-
Because if I'm looking at this, and I expect that 192, and I expect that 20,000, by the same line items, I expect that 50,000, and I don't have to come in here and talk about it.
I agree with you, 100%.
That's why, that's what.
where I'm
That's,
at.
that's why I looked at that three
That's what I
twenty-five,
would
and you got that 320, my thing is, if you got that 325 there, that's just a request that they made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they should only, should have the 325, this should only have 275, that 325 shouldn't even be in there.
Well, it's missing a revenue allocated column. That tells them there's a gap. There's a delta here.
I don't agree, and here's why. What if the state said, you know what, we can't afford to do it, so we're gonna cut that grant? So they would still have this figure here, but then they wouldn't get that amount from the state. So you can budget whatever recommendation, or whatever revenue expectation you want. And like I said, I'll take it back. If we expect to receive 5 million in property tax revenue, and we only get 4.5 million, there's a gap there. We've budgeted for 500 million in property tax revenue, but we didn't get it. Same thing here, they budgeted for this. What they had until just now was this, based on what the commissioners approved in December. And you guys have closed that gap
Using that,
with an appropriation.
using that example, and I don't know procedure, next steps on this, I'm talking about going forward. To me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to include what they requested as anything even in here, like anything within the report that they would see post-budget process, because expectation and requests are two different things. We've made great steps, you and us, not me, right before me, to the point where, honestly, I would say we're going to move into a place where people aren't going to expect what their request is any longer.
But that's
I
not-
mean, and the difference between that and a projected revenue on property tax revenue, that's built kind of out of logic, and it's not to say that requests from department agencies aren't logical, but there's more of a science to that than, say, using the relevant example a few weeks ago when the Veteran Services came in. Their expectation was the same as their request. That should change, but their request was not built upon the data that you use for, projected revenue. It was based upon what they had through their board and through just the same way you did, looking at what your year looks like and what's a justifiable request. So I would be in favor of just post-approval of the budget,
who cares what, like,
Because
who cares what they
once
requested?
once
You know,
I
they can
approve
look
that
at
I'm
it.
with you.
Once I approve
I
that
agree.
budget, I can care less what they requested.
What I
Sure.
request
But
and
see,
what I
that's the same
expect or
thing
not.
with, let's say, using the sheriff as an example. The sheriff
Your
requested-
favorite example.
The sheriff wants $18 million.
Right.
Okay, and we only give him 14. But in this in this item here, you have him down as $18 million, but you have this here, $14 million. He's gonna say, where's my other $4 million at?
Yeah.
He said, because you guys give me $18 million, I want my other $4 million.
So what we could have done, and what typically would have happened, would be that we have gone back and reconciled those revenue asks to the actual appropriation. This was just an oversight.
Yes.
It's one that's easily corrected by what you've done today. And I don't think we have any more of these, it's just.
It could be,
Things like that.
even
Yeah,
with
so
not
then
even
we're-
adding that,
This was just a mistake.
without giving
Yeah,
her
that
the
was
extra
what my point,
$50,000.
what I was trying to.
We could have said,
recognize is, was
we're not
this
gonna
a
give you an extra
mistake or is this-
$50,000, you got to work with that
Are we
$275,000.
the first of many agencies that are gonna be here saying,
That we're gonna knock on
which
your
would be
door, I
worse
get it.
later in the year when
I
they've
get-
already.
I get it.
So.
So that's fine, I
So
understand
what
now.
I'll point out is that, you know, the commissioners make their appropriations from a 100 account code. If you notice on this is a 093 account code. This is an outside agency.
That was the
That's-
other thing I was
yeah.
wondering,
Yeah.
and that may have happened where you had turnover, you had someone out the door during, maybe he put in 325 as a placeholder and then never
Yeah.
changed it.
So I mean,
It
the
may not
way,
even be coming out of.
well, no, the way this happened is that it just didn't get reconciled. But in the end, it's really kind of immaterial. You can't spend beyond your appropriation. They saw that the 325 figure was still in there. The 275 is what the commissioners gave.
Yeah.
I mean, had you guys decided not to fund it, there'd be that $50,000 gap, but you have funded it. Sounds like you needed to. And so, you know,
All's good in the world.
what needed to happen
Yeah,
happened.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if she hadn't came in here, let's say if she hadn't came in here and she says, well, the county gave me $325,000.
Yeah,
Here's I'm gonna spend this $325,000.
she could do that. It can't happen. Yeah, I mean, you can't. Software.
I would look at
software-
that and say, what, I got $325,000, I'm gonna go ahead and spend that
Well,
$325,000.
that's why, and we talked about this with the veterans too, that something that could cut through some of this would be some sort of budget memo that we approved the budget. Look at your budget here, let us know, you know.
I think in the budget process, we need to have the entities come in that we fund and get a final budget. And a discussion at that point, if we've cut some of their funding back, they need to know about it.
Yeah.
You see, they come in
Right now, it just kind of.
they come in June,
I
they
agree,
give us one in June, and then they give us another one in October or November.
I agree with
September,
that.
yeah.
Most do, yeah. Some of them just
Yeah.
leave.
There's, some of them just leave like the June one.
We can get a lot
Yeah.
of, some of the.
I'll
I'd
tell
rather
you
them be
that.
mad and, you know, ahead of time and we just get it over with and just say, you know, this
It's
is
not
what
a
we're
case of
doing.
being mad or being not, but if it's not making sense to us and we see room there that
Sure.
we're not gonna provide slush funds and have us lose it or use it kind of mentality in the spending.
Yeah.
I think
I
the
would-
biggest opportunity is to not have this go to the last Monday of the year.
Mhm.
Yep, 100%.
Have it
Start.
done in November, or October, whatever.
Let's start.
you know.
I mean,
A
I
lot of
don't know
times
traditionally when we
we're waiting
start.
on information from the departments on that.
Yeah,
But we can put it out as a condition in September, hey,
But-
have this done by the end of November, or
I think as we think about ways we might change the budget process, the budget hearing, communication, how we communicate post-budget, we should have kind of a plan together before June when folks start submitting it and say, here's some changes that we are going to make to this process. Because one thing that you guys discussed during the last budget is having some sort of more uniform budget requesting
Form.
documents.
Yeah.
You know, to some degree, we can't really control what, we'll have to have a discussion on certain elected department heads and their freedom to do this. But I think it makes sense for us and for them and for everyone else to know we're all singing from the same hymnal on what the request is and It helps when you have a uniform document.
And that's like now, so like, when they bring their budget to us in June, it goes here, and then it goes there. Because,
Yeah.
I mean.
Some of us.
I mean, when you look at it, but it does, you look at it and say, okay, this is
He's
what.
like telling on himself.
I don't care, you know, I'm just telling you like it is. It's like, you look at it in June and you go, then once you look at it in June, you stick it in a drawer, and you close the drawer up, and then they bring it up, and then we look at them again in October and
You compare
November.
the two of them,
Then you
yeah.
pull that one out of the drawer and
Yeah, we do.
say, well, this is what they did, this is what they requested.
So I think all the more reason then to not do this at the end of December, so that if there is some kind of anomaly or clerical error that needs correcting, we're catching it before it gets issued. In the end, really it doesn't matter, because all you gotta do is come in and say, hey, you know, we have a shortage, and it gets taken care of. But, you know, the software won't allow us to issue a payment for an appropriation that's not there. So there was no scenario where you guys were gonna get to the end of the year and be able to spend money that you didn't have appropriated. So,
Well, I mean,
But
honestly,
they
I
would have
wasn't
thought
even-
about, they'd have thought that they still had $50,000.
well, no, because, I mean, we talked about this in January, and here we are in February. You know, it got caught, you know. We don't have a bunch of these, we just had this one.
Yeah,
you know?
it got caught,
Yeah.
so it's good, it's all good. I just wanted, I mean, it helps me to know that, how to read these reports and stuff too, so, I mean, I
But
appreciate you guys taking time to.
In the end, like I said, this was your ask,
Yeah.
so this was your,
But typically, that number really shouldn't, it should just been 275. Am I, this was an oversight, this should have
Yeah.
said 275, not
Sure,
325.
yeah.
Okay, so it really probably won't happen again.
that's right, yeah.
Okay.
This was an anomaly, but what I'm saying though is that this is what you expect to receive.
Mhm.
This is what you got. It just wasn't reconciled
Okay.
to that. And that's where the conversation
Did
came from.
we pay them $275 so far this year?
Yes.
So that is the month to date.
Well, that's just an annual, that's your
Yeah,
whole budget.
that's our whole
isn't it?
budget.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So the 275 was given up front, appropriated, and then they spent it down over the course of the year. This is gonna provide an additional 50,000.
Yeah, yeah. I get that.
So
Yeah.
that will get put in there.
Yeah.
And then I can do my state match, the
That's
whole
right.
thing and be done. Okay,
And then you spend it down over the course of the year.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So you're good.
I'm good.
All right.
I appreciate you guys
Hey,
very much.
Good, we gave her
Thank
more
you.
money.
I'm great.
For the record,
12:30.
golf with America.
12:30.
Well, Jim comes back, I think 12:30.
12:30, we've got
All right.
American Structure Point coming.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Charlie's gonna come in at 12:30, that's what Charlie said.
Well, Charlie and I were talking this morning, and he said, I'll see you at 12:30. I said, I don't think I'm in at 12:30. I think I'm in at 1:30.
12:30 American Structure Point's coming in to present on.
But you can come in at 12:30 if you want to.
I'm gonna stay downstairs because I got stuff to do, but I will be here at 1:30.
All right.
Thanks for coming up, Jeff.
Yeah,
Got
sure.
that sorted
Thank
out.
you. See you guys.
See ya.
Mr. Brad.
What if I did?
Is it for me? It's good for you.
If I didn't have a headache, I got one now.
We got a special treat planned for you at 1:30.
No, you do.
You gotta keep him going, man. He's been out for a week or two.
Yeah.
Let's see. I got a bunch of stuff from this guy named Devin Shoemaker and Kim Hardesty for you guys to look at. Commissioner's action reports.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've got those or
got
not.
that one. Public hearing proposal. Okay. So this is for grant
Yes.
for the Department of Transportation Rural and Tribal Assistance Pilot Program.
Yes, you do.
Request authorization for traffic engineering consultant. This is the first come of a grant of 17 million, available on the grant amount of 200,000 to 750,000.
First come, first served basis.
Yep.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None.
I'm gonna do it this time.
Can we do it on this one?
No.
This is one Kathy gave me. That's Brett's copy over here.
Apparently they want to make sure you guys double us up.
We're not saving the forest, so.
Give that one, Kathy.
Okay.
I've got so much now.
No, that's the
Notice of public hearing for hearing posting approval. Notice for the Community Development Allocation Program that supports the following competitive grants: neighborhood revitalization, downtown revitalization, critical infrastructure, residential, public infrastructure, economic development. This is the first step in requiring public notification and participation process for funding.
So they need your permission to do that.
So moved.
Second.
In favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm just not used to you're here, Kathy's there. Here.
You feel left
Voices
out,
in the
don't you?
back.
He's gone for a week and now he's shoved to the.
Yeah, there's voices in
Hearing
the back.
things, yeah.
Hear voices in the back. I keep thinking, hey, you know, no voices in the back like we got Sarah.
This is the proverbial Greenfield Felsen Park project. It's had all kinds of news in the news, in the important news. But this is basic service fees paid to the architect are decreased by $263,605. They made changes in the architect agreement, what he was supposed to be doing, and it's reduced the price.
Right.
So
Which county was that in?
This is in
Highland.
Highland,
Yeah.
Greenfield.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. I guess that's there.
This is that document that's gone back and forth 2 or 3 times from the sheriff's department about their, what do we call this, Kathy? Their,
I think it's their scheduling program.
yes. They brought it over, not everybody signed it, and then it went back, and now it's your turn to sign it, because all the other signatures are on it. You've seen this before, twice, I think.
You go. This is the, this is the code red.
No.
So they have a paper, they're gonna, everything's gonna be online on their schedule.
Right.
I don't know why.
We got the okay to do this?
Yeah, so.
No.
Second.
I think you guys may have already approved.
We
it
already
once
approved it
before.
once before.
Yeah.
They're just waiting on signatures.
I think it's just,
Make it official.
now you're gonna punch a time clock.
You don't have to now. It'll all be electronic when you show up.
You don't have to punch a time. My thing is, you know,
So when you log on, you're instantly at work.
I guess.
That's how a lot of places are now.
Yeah. But see, it's hard to punch a time clock for, in my opinion, for law enforcement. The guys in the jail wouldn't be bad, but the guys on the street.
They stopped,
Look at
stopped
last
plates
week.
on the way in?
Yeah. Look last week.
All right, let's talk about some more stuff.
I got a minute to run the clock.
Jordan Wheeler has been up to see us a couple of times. He said there were four different people that applied for that register's job.
PMB.
Yeah, so he doesn't know if he's gonna get it or not. He said there was actually one from Montgomery County that has like 4 of them or something. Did he tell you he has that too? Yeah. So, but I'm meeting him this week out there. He's got some ideas of some things he wants to do in his own office that he has there in the title office, so I'm gonna meet with him this week to talk about that. We met last week with Miranda Vance, who is the director of the Park District, about, they have now taken over Camp Sherman Park and Ross County Park. And so we were asking them what their plans are, because we saw that they tore the gas building down. It was there on the corner forever. We tried to tear that down once before, and the gas company said we couldn't. But apparently they worked with them to get all the gas shut off. They tore that building down. They tore all the playground equipment out because there's no fall protection, which is a liability. Without fall protection, somebody falls, breaks their arm, the county could be sued. So they took that stuff out of there. And then we started asking what, what the plans are, because we have a lot of equipment stored in the little building that's beside the.
About Camp Sherman?
Yes, at the shelter house, there's a building there that we heat, and we have a lot of mowing equipment and stuff stored in there. We have an alarm system, and we have, all that stuff on it. But we've mowed that park ever since I've been here, and I didn't know if they're gonna take it over or not. We're gonna leave things the way they are right now. We are moving the bills around. The bills for Ross County Park, they're gonna take over. We're gonna continue to pay the bills that we have, because we're using that right now. But as we go forward, that may change, and if that does, then we're gonna have to find another place to put all our stuff in. So, not to add another project on, but at some point, we ought to be thinking about a maintenance shop. Because, we don't own the building where all the trucks and stuff are stored either. If you ever sell or do something different at 15 North Paint, that is where our maintenance shop is, which has never really been talked about in the move. We just talked about offices, we never talked about that. So at any point, we could lose any of those spots, so just something to keep in mind.
Where, if we had the optimal location for a maintenance shed, where would that be? Would that be Fairgrounds?
No, I think it's too far out. So we've thought of two places in the past. One is that lot that sits at the top, right by the service center on Western Avenue, that big lot that sits right up there on top. We've talked about that. That leaves us still close to that building, which we have to go to a lot, but it's close enough to downtown where we're not so far out. If that didn't work, then we also had talked for years about the piece of property that the DD board owns, that's right across from what I call the Frenchtown Country Club. There, Wagner's, a place where that spot there is big enough to do what we need, and it's still close enough to downtown. There, we already have equipment in Camp Sherman Park, so that would, either one of those spots to me make the best sense. Unless we could be closer downtown, but I don't know how we make that happen.
Because we went out there and looked at that property that DD owns.
Yeah.
At one time, because they wanted us
They
to
want
do
to
a
trade.
split. They wanted to do a trade for that property they own there.
Pioneer Center.
To the Pioneer Center.
Yeah, because we own the Pioneer land, I think, right?
Yes.
So, just something to think about. I gave you the minutes of the Port Authority meeting. I did want to share this with you. Did one of you commissioners serve on the CIC board?
Yes, me.
You? Well, you've probably talked about this stuff then.
Oh, cool. No, I haven't seen this yet.
Well, this is something that's been talked about for 4 years. In fact, Dwight, it was a big thing for Dwight. He always had it on his, he had it as
He had the screensaver.
a screensaver of it. And it sounds to me like they're finding funding. They've made some agreements with folks that are right around there. You're welcome to keep that for now and just take a look at it. It's pretty exciting if it happens, I think, but we can talk about it in the work session too.
But that's.
It's basically the same thing, yeah.
Because they were gonna do that, then they lost funding, and they didn't have funding, then they.
Well, she's been working on it. Tammy has for 4 years, what she told us in the meeting. And I'll talk to you about it in the work session. Hey, we just talked about it.
Hey, oh, you did?
Were your ears burning?
He was watching us?
Mine, yeah. Did you have something you want to talk to him about?
No, I was gonna steal you.
Oh, okay. The jail project's moving along. We got them to fix the mistakes that we found.
Talking about the steel.
The steel on the wall, yep. And they've started, so they finished putting steel on
pods A and B, which are 8 cells. The painters are coming in today to start priming and filling all the cracks with this epoxy that they use.
How did they fix the problem?
They actually welded pieces in there.
Okay.
So, but we still had some concerns. So that we met last week and the BAD was there. One of the things they were saying is those slivers, even though they're welded, stitch welded, they still, if you got something behind them, you could still maybe break that off, and then you got a shiv. So they have to do some more repairs to that before if the space is big enough for them to drill holes and put anchors in there and anchor it in place, it's going to survive. If not, it's going to come off and they're going to redo it.
Yeah, actually, a good weld is stronger than the steel.
Right.
But we're not guaranteeing.
But we're not welding the whole piece,
Yeah,
and that's what
we're
we're
just
saying, maybe we need to
focused.
weld the whole piece and not stitch weld that and then anchor it if you can, so
Alright.
that was some of the things that we talked about. But they should have, in the next 2 weeks, they should have those 2 pods done, they'll be moving to C and D.
They haven't had to move anybody, have they?
Not off-site.
Okay.
They've moved them around, but not off-site. And hopefully they won't have to. I mean, the plan is not to. We added a bunch of beds to the indoor, outdoor recreation areas. So eventually they're hoping that on the bigger cells, they can move them there. Hopefully we won't have to move anybody off-site, but it all depends on their, on their count. If they have a bunch of people in there, then it's worse. And it seems like, you never know when the count's going up and down. We always think it's more in the summer, but you never know.
Yeah, it's
You know?
been.
The numbers have been down,
Yeah.
so it's been really helpful. And we're on that first floor where it's all women anyway, so it's not been terrible. The VA project.
I'm sorry.
It's been a little tough, but I did ask John Wetzel to put together a nice construction document for me. Over the weekend, he put this together for the outfield wall. The turf has already started coming up. And then it got cold and they had to stop, but I think they'll be back out there this week ripping it up, and then they'll start putting the turf back down. The outfield wall was taken down, and this drawing is to bid the rest of the work to put it back up, because we had no document for that. Wall got torn down. Luckily, we had some pictures of it. Gave that to John. He was very helpful in getting it. He got that over the weekend for me.
Is there any ground prep for underneath the new astroturf being laid down?
I don't know. I haven't. They just started tearing it off last week, so I don't know. My plan is to go out there this week and look at it.
As I said, I don't know. They put something down.
They got to have something underneath.
Something underneath that.
But I don't know what it is.
I don't know if it's a rubber
I can show you the drawing.
padding or something like that that's underneath there.
104 sewer project, we got our 60% deliverable, so that means that the drawings are almost completely finished. There's 90 pages of construction documents there along with the alignment, and 500 pages of documents for the actual project manual. We're going to review that on Thursday here at 3 o'clock. I sent you guys an email about that. If you want to show up, you're welcome. We won't be doing it virtually. They're going to actually come down and we're going to go through the drawings and make sure we got what we want there.
Probably, I think I'm in Columbus Thursday. What time is
Courthouse
that?
restoration project, we're waiting on the contract from Bricker and Graydon for Berglund so that we can get that signed and get them moving in pre-construction. In fact, Calpo from Schooley Caldwell sent an email to Ben over the weekend about trying to get that. He's not in the office today, so I don't know if we'll, hopefully we'll get it by the end of the week. The service center cleaning, still waiting on the contract from Bricker and Graydon for that. The service center renovation project, we've got the documents, the final documents. We think Dan and I have been looking through them. Hopefully by the end of this week, we'll get those back to them, make sure they're what they need to be. And then I still don't have an engineer's estimate. That's kind of what I'm waiting on.
Who's the day that you're getting them back to?
The architect is Eric Karhoff, and he's with Marsh Architects.
Marsh, okay, that's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
We're gonna try to figure something else other than folding panels that we
The
can't.
walls?
Yeah, we can't get
I don't know what else.
parts to them.
Well, part of the project is to replace those. We were able to contact a company that puts those in to replace those, take those out, put new ones in.
Because I know before we was having trouble with.
Can't get parts for
Can't
what's
get
there.
parts for what's there, yeah.
Can't.
My
And then-
opinion, sorry, my opinion on the service center, that's like, of all the capital improvement, maintenance, upgrades that need to be made, that one is top of the list. That's the one where our residents, constituents are most likely to interact with government is out there, and there is some stuff that's just kind of.
You're right.
Needs attention.
There's a bunch,
you know.
yeah.
And the folks in there, the first folks who work in there would share that too. I was there last week for the 4-H educator interviews, and the door kept locking out front, and they didn't know how to. That might have been an error on their part or on ours.
The
They
front
said
door
the-
going in and out?
Yeah. They
Was
said
it
the
later in the
computer-
evening?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we tell them when they sign up that you got this much time to get in.
Mm-hmm.
But once you're in, if you've got people coming later in the evening, you're gonna have to know when they're there because the door's locked.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get everybody that shouldn't be in the building in the building.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
we're
gotta be
just,
careful.
we're just having all this heavy maintenance and updating stuff with our facilities happening all at the same time.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, the courthouse is 20 years, this is probably 20 years.
Yep, at least, yeah.
So we
It was
need
built in
to-
the eighties, just like
Yeah.
the jail. It all seemed to happen at the same time.
So we get the ice cream dessert. I could have said something else.
Without sprinkles.
Yeah. Without sprinkles, yeah.
And then, the airport FBO, we hope to have a document together by the end of the week for you guys to look at too, with all the things that we want in there. I've read through the stuff that you had. I think you're right. That is the best one. I'll try to pull some stuff off that, and then I sent some other things to Austin this morning. I don't know if you guys saw that came from Stan. I think I sent you that too. Just need to figure out what they're doing. I had no idea, but that's another piece of income for the FBO. So they must, if you got a bigger plane and you land it there, they're collecting a fee off that. And he's saying we want to keep those fees the same. But when they park on the tarmac, they don't charge them anything. They only charge them for taking off and landing. That could be another source of revenue.
Yeah.
So just things we need to be thinking
Are
about.
there tie downs on the tarmac?
There are, don't ever see them used, but there are tie downs there.
Or you would think they would tie the aircraft down?
Yeah.
Because it's always pretty windy up there.
It is, it's very windy.
Yeah.
Last week when we had the snow, we pushed some off. That broom that you guys bought has been a lifesaver too. They were using it this morning to clean off all this salt and stuff in the parking lots, and works really well.
Yeah, it's a nice piece of equipment.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I thought, I told Jack this earlier, but I thought everything he provided in that, in terms of scope and the thing from Colorado, whatever, the Montrose, I thought that was a good example of what we're looking for, and, yeah.
The others have pieces and parts in it, but that one's pretty,
That one's
Yeah.
pretty
it's
comprehensive.
got it all in it.
Yeah.
My goal for the whole thing is set the parameters and then create the environment for folks who don't want to be doing what we say is the this is the bare minimum of what should be here. Everything else, people can do that as an enterprise, and it grows from there, That's what's been lacking, I think, in my short time involved in this, is that we haven't been clear, or maybe we have, they're just not doing and meeting our expectations on everything. But they also have control that limits the ability for anybody else to do anything whatsoever, so.
We just gotta get past the point of deciding on the current FBO going forward for the next year or two, and then while the consultant has time to work and help us with the dream vision of the airport. But we gotta lay down the minimum guidelines and the minimum expectations that we expect them to live up to.
Exactly.
And see if Duncan's up to the task where he can hire somebody that would be.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to give him that opportunity. I just wanna get this done, so we're out of this purgatory that we're in, of not really having any leadership.
I did, when we were in the Port Authority meeting the other day, Tammy brought up the fact she had talked to, what was his name? Who was the economic development director before her?
Chris Mangold.
Chris Mangold. She talked to him about it, and he was familiar with it, and he did deposit those checks. So they were paying those rental checks, or whatever you want,
That's what
whatever
Steve
those
said, too.
are.
Yeah, Steve said that too.
Yeah, so I feel pretty good about that, but were those rental payments, or were those paying off
Yeah.
the loan to get the building back?
Who holds the title?
Who holds the title? So the next thing is to go downstairs and talk to Major and see if they can dig something up down there, because I would think that title would have been recorded.
Filed, yeah.
Should have.
Well, on the auditor's website, it's Chillicothe CIC. Or whatever, the formal
That's who
name.
the property
Community
owner is of the
Yeah.
hangar.
Yeah.
How'd you find that? Because the only thing I found was just.
No, if you pull it up, it's on there.
I
on that one
was in the
spot.
Is it on?
CIC executive meeting last week, and we had to pull it up, and there either is, or at one point there was a character limit on the description that could be entered in there. So if you look, the CIC has 4 different names within the auditor's system. So it took forever to figure out.
That's the same thing with the county commissioners. There's
Yeah, Board of Commissioners.
Board of Commissioners, and then there's Ross County.
Commissioner,
Ross
Ross County.
Yeah. Instead of being one thing.
I know I have a time sheet for you. Last 2
So
weeks.
moved. Second.
We only got one guy doing all the work here. I'll second this time sheet for me.
So moved.
Making a motion and second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Yes, sir.
Are they gonna hold off?
Thank you.
Because don't we have 30 days to
For,
the building out to the fairgrounds? I mean, out to the airport?
what about it?
Isn't there a 30-day time period?
Right, first refusal.
First
Right.
refusal? Is that, they gonna extend that? Because
Yes.
since we don't know.
Yes. Well, we said we want that building one way or the other.
Right.
So I think, Austin's working through that with their attorney.
Okay.
Okay, and then we asked him to look at, apparently they think they own the hangar too. So he's looking into that, we're looking into that. And then, we're looking at all the FBO pieces and parts too.
Right.
So there's a lot still to do there.
Well, my thing is
We're not gonna lose it.
I don't want them to come in and say, hey, well, we'll give you guys 30 days, your 30 days is up.
We
Well,
told
wait a
them at
minute.
the meeting too that we wanted to land.
Yeah, because the thing is now is, we got the first refusal on that building,
On both buildings.
Which building?
on the big hangar.
On the big hangar, we
Yeah,
had,
we're not even talking about that. That's not included. It's the Metaflight house.
yeah.
And the garage that they're using as a garage that they want to keep, but they
Okay,
don't.
I just want to make sure that we're,
Yeah, and then there's another.
There's the instrumentation.
yeah,
shop.
there's two
Little building.
garages over there in
Yeah.
that house.
Yeah, those are the pieces that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all on that property, so we would buy
So the
all
big-
that,
so
and
the
then we
big-
could
so
rent
the-
that back to them.
So the big hangars, we don't have to worry about that.
Well, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
Because we
Still-
don't know who owns that.
We need to find out for sure, is it the CIC? The CIC owns it, then the county ought to own it.
Yeah. Or if it's DRM.
We own the land.
Yeah,
And that's why when you look at the auditor's website, it says that we own that piece of land. I mean, that piece of land never got sold. The only thing we did was give them permission to build a building on it.
Well, see, that's the same thing with, he looked up something for me on property that's owned by the railroad. They'll sell it to me for this price, but they'll lease it to me for $1,000 a year for 20 years, but I can't put any
Can't build anything
structure
on
there.
it, right? Well, we gave them permission to build a building
Yeah.
on there. So they own the building or we own the building, we don't know. The CIC took it back at some point, I can't remember the date,
Yeah.
2018 or 20, yeah, 2018. So we think the CIC owns the building and we own the land. They think we own the land and they own the building. So we just gotta get to the bottom of that.
Building off my land.
And they say that, but, yeah, right. Hard to build something on ground you don't own. But also, when they've said that they think that they own it, they've not really provided any sort of documentation. They have just said, oh, no, we're pretty sure we own it.
Yeah.
We're gonna need more than that.
Yeah, because we're pretty sure we own it.
Yeah, and actually, all signs point to that, actually.
And that's the same thing with, you know, with MetLife sitting at, plus the other two properties that's there. The one at the beginning were very toxic.
Well, both of those properties, I've asked Austin to call John Kosich about.
Because that's a different, because that's totally different.
They're outside of they're in the trust, they're not part of TRM. So.
I thought the trust was TRM. Or TRM.
Well, I think there were parts that were in that piece of TRM, and then there were parts that weren't. So they took those two properties, and then they had to take the Lifeline house out, because if you remember, they got a loan through this Small Business Administration, and because it was being leased, they wouldn't let them include that in the purchase.
Okay.
So yeah, so the two properties are with, I looked up who owns it, and it's actually Jim, I think it's Jim's brother-in-law.
It comes up with the trust.
It's his wife's brother, who I think is an attorney in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And he would, they're handling all the other stuff that Jim had, all the other properties and all the other stuff that he had outside the airport, so. What we doing?
Vegetable beef. That's
What do you got?
That bond?
Oh, actually, I'm glad you're.
Huh?
We have to pay this bond.
You do?
Yeah, I talked to Eric about it, talked to ODNR, they said, make sure you get it paid because they don't.
So do you pay it or do I pay it?
I think you guys pay it.
Did you pay this bond before?
I have paid that bond before.
There you go.
There it
Real
is.
quick, don't leave, because this I'm glad you walked in because he brought you up on the BMP stuff. Is there anything we can do to provide support or a letter of support or?
I really don't know. I have the application in, there's 5 other applicants. It's more of just luck of the draw type of thing.
I offered them a letter 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I always thought it was if the county says that they want to do it,
Yeah.
they should be able to just do it, but I
Yeah.
guess that's not the case.
Not the case.
Who's the person or entity to ask that question?
What's that?
Who's deciding the transfer of
The
ownership?
Ohio Register. His name's Charlie Norman.
Department of Public Safety?
Yes.
Ohio Department of Public Safety.
Okay.
Yeah. There's an avenue, if we don't get it, there's an avenue for a limited deputy register, which will allow us to do like, mainly things with like new cars and stuff like that with dealerships, which would probably be ideal too, but we'll see how the process goes. March 6th, I think we'll get the award, or not the award, but the scoring of all the applicants. 3 of the applicants are already deputy registers in other counties. I think one has 2 or 3 deputy registers already.
They got an
locations.
LLC that does this.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see.
Stable hospital.
Well, it's a work from home deal.
Either way, I think there's so much room for improvement. I mean,
There's a lot of room for improvement.
Ideally,
Yeah.
I
Customer
think
service
your
is the-
vision of taking it yourself would be, or not, personally, my number one, I think that'd be, but I can't imagine that it would be much worse than the situation we have now.
Right, because these will all be out.
Consistently you hear that.
Right, and these will all be out of county applicants too, except one. One's from Bainbridge. So, you know, how good a customer service can you provide if you're not around as leadership? So, and I'll be there almost every day. So,
Yeah, well, if there's anything we can do to help it out.
yeah, like I said, it's a competitive process, and I think there's rules against influencing and stuff like that. So.
That rule's been broken before.
Yeah, but we'll see. That's all I got right now. But
good luck.
Yeah, storage. We can talk about storage if we don't get it. I took Julie Stevens on a little tour on our storage just a few minutes ago. So she was amazed by what we got down there.
Yeah.
Who is that?
Julie Stevens, For Burning Green.
Burning Green.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
What kind of
hundreds of
storage?
thousands of dollars worth of storage space or
Only thing I can leave it,
man.
leave it alone.
Yeah.
Don't get Udi fired up.
Just leave it alone.
We'll
He's
see.
working on that though, he said.
I am. Yeah,
Yeah.
visualizations.
Yeah.
Of a lot of things, so.
Remember, them records do not belong to you.
I know they don't.
Okay, I just,
I am the keeper of them, so.
you just,
You've probably already been
Yeah.
reminded.
Trust me. We're processing everything. Have a good one.
Thanks.
just leave it alone. You're never gonna be in trouble.
What else you got, Brad?
That's it, sir.
Okay, we got,
Move to recess.
yeah, we got a 15-minute recess, and then Devin comes in with the
We got to
American structure point guide.
Yeah. Work, all work sessions.
Without the crazy architecture.
Yeah. Okay, move to recess.
When you reset. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Recess or adjourn the meeting?